Spain was crowned the Euro winner. Alcaraz, the winner of Wimbledon. And then, of course, Argentina, the winner once again, this time of Copa America. And a president got shot. Hello and welcome back to The House That Happened, sponsored by Shuey's Bar and Grill, the only place to be in suburban Etobicoke. Voted 4 times the best dive bar in all the GTA. Hi, I'm Andrew Milani.
Hi, my name's Cruz. How you doing, buddy?
Good. I had a pretty good week. Yourself?
I've been trying to get some discipline in my life, but as a retiree, sometimes the only thing that disciplines me is the fact that my dog's got to go for a walk. Outside of that, shout out to Stanley for getting me off the couch. But outside of that, it's been a very good week. We did suffer a little bit of inclement weather, I guess you would call it, this week.
Some flooding, yeah.
A little bit of flooding. I hope everybody out there survived the onslaught. And if you were stupid enough to drive through Dixie and Dundas when they told you not to, sorry, your car got flooded. You know what I mean?
There we go.
Insane things going on. However, we do have to understand one thing. We are a sports-dominated podcast, agreed?
Of course.
However, we did have something historic happened in North America this week that we'd be remiss not to discuss what happened.
Yes, Donald Trump got shot at a rally. It clipped him in the ear.
Okay, so let's just, we're not going to discuss the details because we're never going to know. My buddy, there's been so many things gone on about it, about good, bad, or ugly. Now, we're not in a position here where we're going to tell you should be a Republican or a Democrat, a liberal, or conservative. That's not our place to decide what you're supposed to be. We will want to emphasize the fact that you should go out and vote.
Yes.
Okay,
agreed.
That's number one. However, I just want to shout out to all the people that have done some of the most callous, ridiculous statements, memes that I've ever heard in my life, and I want to put it in context of this. The first night that Justin Trudeau was nominated to be a run for a riding in Papineau, I went, oh my God, this can't be good. If you want to know my opinion on what's happened to the country since Harper has left, we don't have enough time for that on this show.
However, we are not a political show.
Thank you. However, I have never, ever advocated that the fact that Justin Trudeau should be shot. So anybody out there that's ever put up a meme that they think that, oh, the guy was a bad shooter, oh, we should have changed this and we could have got rid of that. You people are some of the most classless human beings that I would ever want to have to, never want to talk to again, due to the fact that people have to remember this. He's a family man. He's a father. He's a grandfather. We have families. Let's get back to the everyday life. Nobody wants to lose anybody in their family. So anybody that makes a joke about anybody losing their family will not be tolerated on The House That Happens. Agreed?
Agreed.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And no, sorry. Do you have anything?
No, I was just going to say, when you're sitting around with your family, what did they have to say about this?
I don't know if we got into it too much, to be honest.
Because we're Canadians.
Yeah.
Why don't we focus on?
I mean, if they was just like, wow, that's crazy.
On live
good
TV.
Thing he didn't die.
Yeah. And on,
that would have been the worst thing on TV of all time.
No doubt about it.
The amount of people going to therapy would have been insane.
Oh, it would have been off the charts. We should shout out to the fireman of an Italian descent that protected his family and lost his life. So let's not say someone says it was an attempted assassination. No, a man did get assassinated. A man with 2 kids, firefighter, dedicated to his country, come out to support something that he thought was properly and lost his life protecting his family. Insane.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane. But we're not going to take it any farther. I just want to say one other thing about it. I don't trust the media anymore unless it's a podcaster telling the truth. So if you were watching TV and you were an alien and you came down and watched the coverage from MSNBC, CNN, and Fox, who are not perfect either, if you were to watch the broadcasts from these 3 networks and you were an alien and you sat down on your couch to watch what these people were saying, you'd be the most confused person in the history of the universe.
Absolutely. Some silly headlines all throughout this week.
Ridiculous.
The thing that's gotten me is how it's also led to the end of the band Tenacious D, Jack Black's band.
Oh.
And then,
please explain to the public what happened.
A lot of people are pissed at both these, Kyle Gass and Jack Black, for this. So they were on a world tour. They were in Australia.
Yep.
I guess this was on the Sunday. When did this happen? Saturday or Sunday?
It was Saturday.
Yeah, so I think it was on the Sunday then that they were performing in Australia. I don't know where, like Melbourne or whatever. It was Kyle Gass's birthday, so they brought him a cake on stage. They blew out the candles. They're like, oh, what'd you wish for? And he was like, that the shooter wouldn't miss next time.
Brutal.
Yeah, and then Jack Black kind of like agreed with him on stage, but then he walked it back. And then now like the band's done.
Done.
In the middle of a world tour.
Yeah, making money. I got to give Jack Black a lot of credit.
I don't know about that because he agreed with them on stage, and all of a sudden you turn your back on him after. That's a little slimy. I kind of lost a little bit of respect from him for that.
You know what? I think it took him about 30 seconds to walk off stage to realize, hey, man, I made a mistake here. You know what I mean? And he did walk it back. But the bottom line, if I'm in the moment, I'm going to say, hey, man, this ain't cool. No matter what stripe you are.
Well, he didn't do that, and then he threw his buddy under the bus after that. I have trouble accepting that.
Interesting. I'm just glad he brought it back because I'm kind of a Jack Black fan.
I am too.
You know what I mean? I'm just disappointed that everyone talks about moral turpitude. Seems to be the one of the things that we're supposed to aspire to reflect as human beings, and I think that term got thrown out the window this week on a lot of levels. You know what I mean? So if you're out there and you're my Facebook friend or you're my Instagram friend, and I kind of look the other way when I see your post coming by, it's just that I have to judge a man by his character, and if you advocate the assassination of any human being, I think you'll agree with me because you're not my associate. You're an accomplice,
yes,
right?
Yes, so I'm told.
Thank you. Okay, so we, at the House That Happens, do not tolerate political violence on any level.
No, and let's cheer for a comeback for morals and empathy, which are much needed in this modern world.
Definitely. And you got a shout out?
Not really.
Okay, well, I got the one is that...
I do have one. Shout out Marco, turning 31 today as we're recording. We're going to be celebrating your birthday on Saturday.
31.
31.
Is he still wet behind the ears? You're talking to an old man here. 31. I remember when I was 31. I think I was in divorce court paying child support. Not really sure, but hey, you learn and live during the course of life, right? Anyway, Marco, happy 31st birthday. You're still not 40, and the best years of your life are going to be between 40 and 60. The 30s are just a warm-up for the greatness that you're going to get to.
That's what they keep telling us.
Yeah, that's the way it's going to be. And you too, not that Mr. Milani here is like an old man, okay? But I'm giving him a shout-out for a guy that was born in the 90s. He's wearing a Nirvana shirt.
Yes.
Big shout out. And it's a cool juxtaposition because what kind of shirt am I wearing?
Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, so we didn't plan on this, but a good day to commemorate left-handed guitar players.
There we go.
I am one. I want to do a shout out to Mr. Kevin Pick. We're trying to, Kev, I know you're going to listen to this. We want to shout out to get you on the show. Not only that, but to promote the MCM that's coming up in September. You're doing a fabulous job. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows what's going on. But come on the show and give us your sports acumen because football season we can smell.
Yes.
Fantasy football's around the corner.
Oh, boy.
Pools are in the air. And God bless the Detroit Lions.
We'll see what they're able to do this season. It's going to be a very exciting season.
Just wait a second. You know it's going to be great? I can't wait for our football preview because this is one of the year I'm going to be able to sit at the table and talk positively about the Detroit Lions without getting bitch slapped.
Although there's one other team in your division that could sneak up on you.
I'm not talking about them right now. This is not the football preview. Stop it. Get out of here. We're talking.
I can't let you get too carried away about yourself.
Oh.
Like you hold me in check when it comes to Leafs. I got to hold you in check when it comes to the Lions.
Gee, I need more than held in check. I will tell you that much when it comes to the Lions. Yeah, but that's all coming. We're going to get it out there. Mr. Pick, we'll get in touch with you. Hopefully we can get Mr. Semenuk out too. I have one more shout out I got to talk to, and that's to our beloved San Francesco.
Hey, there you go.
Got it right? Sluggers. Okay.
Perfetto.
We got rained out when we were going into the biggest doubleheader of the season. Ooh. Against the Bangers for first place and bragging rights for the bye in this otherwise kind of different league that we're playing in.
Okay.
Get more competitive by the ages. So I'm going to shout out to all you guys. Anthony, you're still our RBI guy. Cody, you're the best player on our team. Kern, you're going back to third base. Zach, you're doing an amazing job at running the whole show. However, I'm calling out to all you guys that are listening. We should have a practice or some kind of get-together because I know none of you mofos are throwing a ball or swinging the bat for 2 weeks. The only guy doing that is, and I'll put the film on our site, you'll see old man out there with Stanley swinging a bat, throwing a ball. Why? Because I'm old.
Stanley's going to swing a bat. Is this like some Air Bud energy we got here?
No,
or?
It's funny when you see me swinging the bat, I put him on a chain about 10 feet away because he's jumping in the air trying to get at me as I'm swinging the bat.
Oh, that's cute.
It's something out of a mad TV show you've never seen before. So, San Fran Sluggers, yo, guys, keep your shoes tied tight. John Bellardi will be using my glove at first base from now on, so he'll no longer take a ball to the face.
Okay. Let's hope for none of that anymore.
Oh, by the way, John, I got one of them silly checks that come from climate change or something this week. I wanted to throw it in the garbage, but I used it for beer.
Any more shout-outs?
I want to shout out because he's not going to say his name, but we always got to remember, people don't realize we are at Shoey's as we speak.
Yes,
as
sir.
you open at every show. And Shoey's is going to rise from the ashes. I don't think he's going to say a word, but he's within striking distance where I am right now, has provided me with a very cold beer. And I'm just telling you people this. Shoey's coming back in a big way.
Yes, sir, and we cannot wait.
You got it. I'm going to make them line up at the door when they're trying to get in there. So everybody asks me what's going on with Shoey's when you're going to get in there. I'm going to check your card before you come in the door because you better be a real mofo or you don't get in.
Wow, hardcore.
Thank you.
We need to get some memes of, like, you ever see the ones with, like, Harry Potter and the Phoenix?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and the one that brings him the sword, that was pretty badass.
Oh, by the way, I got Disney TV. I didn't know I was going to do that. Since we have a little bit of a musical thing here between the two of us, if you ever get the chance to watch Get Back by the Beatles, I think they should put this in university. For anyone that ever wants to write a song or ever to be in a band, it's like a tutorial on the good, the bad, the ugly of one of the greatest bands that you ever heard in the history of our lives.
Directed by the great
Peter
Jackson.
Yes, very well done.
The Pride of New Zealand.
Okay, well, how many hours is it? 16 hours, I think it is?
No, it's like 9 or 10.
10? Okay, let's just say it's 10 hours. I've watched it twice, its entirety, and I'm watching it again as we speak.
So your Get Back is like The Last Dance with me, because I think I've watched that the same amount of times.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I started watching Last Dance again, too. Like what? There's nothing else on Prime, Netflix.
You should check out The Boys on Prime.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a take on superheroes. Super cynical. Just all the superheroes are assholes, and they're controlled by a corporation.
What's this called?
The Boys.
On Prime.
On Prime.
I will watch that between the next time we do the show.
It's probably the only good show on that service, but that's all good.
Thank you.
Any more shout-outs?
Not really. We're on our way.
We are officially into the countdown for the Olympics, just over a week away. And swimming in the Seine River, for marathon swimming and the swimming portion of the triathlon is still happening.
Wait a second here. Does that mean I have to like swim in a bubble wrap?
Or scuba suit?
Or a scuba suit. Like, listen, this thing has been pretty well been infected since World War II.
It's been illegal to swim in there before then, probably since the 30s.
Okay, so now we're going to get the best marathon swimmers that are in the world.
And best triathletes in the world.
And best triathletes in the world to jump into a cesspool.
Yep. Although Paris City Hall announcing it's clean enough despite the president and mayor refusing, promising they would swim in there but didn't follow through. Although the sports minister swam in it on Saturday and has not grown a second head yet.
How much did they have to pay him to get in there?
Her.
Her? Okay. Did she fell on the sword, basically, right?
Basically.
Yeah.
I don't think she got paid anything. It was just like, this is on you.
Oh, there's a lot of ththings I want to do in life. You know what I mean? I don't think I want to go swimming in that type of water or environment.
I'm a little confused why this wasn't part of the movie The Bucket List with Jack Nicholson. I thought that was going to be a scene in there. Let's swim in the Seine River.
Full disclosure, I grew up in Windsor, Ontario. You ever see the color of the Detroit River?
I was going to make a Lake Ontario joke. So,
okay, well, anyways, yeah. I heard that I've never seen anybody swim in the Detroit River, and I heard the place in France makes that look clean.
We'll leave it at that.
By the way, about the rest of the Olympics, I think that, you know what's curious about it? I don't know as many athletes going in as I usually do, except for a couple of the swimmers. Of course, the basketball, things like that. There's a huge Simone Biles, what would you call it, documentary going on that's already started, and then it's going to finish after the Olympics.
This has got to be her last games.
I don't know. I think she's an amazing...
She's getting, pretty old for a gymnast, though, isn't she?
It's 26 or something, isn't
That's pretty old for a gymnast.
In any event, I hope
you don't see many 30-year-old gymnasts in the Olympics.
No, I just hope that the hype isn't bigger than her ability to bring medals to America, because it'll just become a drama that we really don't want to talk about.
Well, that's what happened last time around.
Exactly. So we don't want that. All we're hoping for is that Canada has a showing that will respect the stature of us as a country.
Yeah. Well, swimming, we're obviously going to expect some medals. Andre DeGrasse, you think he's going to bring home at least a medal in the track events. And
there's a couple of girls in the pool that are looking pretty good, too. However, I've discovered something today about the Olympics, and I'm going to back this up so we can shout out to her. I got a local bakery that's just down the street from here, and it's called, I forget, it's Lavington Bakery, but they got a better name for it. Anyways, when I walked in there today, they said, "Go Sophie," with an Olympic thing on the door. I didn't really pay attention to it. But when I was going in the store to get a lottery ticket, my wife, Gail, one of the ladies in the door, they love Stanley, so they come out the door and give Stanley a pop. I'm like, "What's the thing on the door?" Apparently, her name is Sophie. I'm going to find out her last name. We're going to give her a big shout out. She lives 2 blocks from the Lavington Plaza, if you know where it is in North Etobicoke here. And she is a part of the 2-team beach volleyball representative of our country.
Very cool.
Just found this out about 3 or 4 hours ago. I didn't find out about her last name, but it's really, really cool when I walk my dog past the house of someone that has dedicated their lives to making the Olympics. So, Sophia, we're going to find out your last name. We're going to give you a big shout out. And you know what? It's really a funny thing is, my wife, who is my age, and a couple of the girls who are great people at Lavington Bakery, started talking about being in shape. Their shape is according to the girls that are playing Olympic basketball. I said, "Girls, stop it." Stop it. You know, we're not 16 to 21 anymore, okay? But I like the way they talked about it, and I like their enthusiasm for the Olympics.
Sure, absolutely. You know? There's also the Russia-Belarus factor in the game that I think you want to talk about.
Well, what we were saying about, and we talked about this off camera, which is really, really weird. They have to go as independents.
The Russians and Belarusians, yeah.
Yeah, okay, they have to go in as independents, but they've barred teams from coming in.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird.
It's weird.
Very weird. Like, if you're going to let these athletes in and you're not going to let teams in, it's kind of hypocritical.
I agree. And this is what the enhanced game solves, because everyone's just an individual in there.
We'll get to that down the road. That's going to be interesting. You know what I think I already mentioned it to you. You know what I really think they're afraid of? Is that somebody on some team or somebody from Russia is going to jump up in front of a microphone and say some crazy-ass shit about Putin and never return to Russia for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, possible.
Don't you think so? Not everybody.
The Olympics would be the spot to do it.
Traditionally, for the last 60 years, we can name a number of things that we're not going to go through it all because this is an Olympic preview. All we're hoping is that we get back to the jump higher,
faster, stronger.
Higher, faster, stronger, and not what political stripe that you're trying to involve yourself with.
Although sports and politics, it's the older I get, the more I realize that they're more intertwined than I think we'd like to admit. But
I've known that since your age.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there we go then.
Okay.
I think that's enough for Olympic talk.
Yes.
There's a little bit of a disappointing event that happened this week where Terrell Davis got handcuffed. Oh, and we have the name of the athlete, Sophie Bukovic. We found the name. Thank you very much. Right from North Etobicoke.
We're cheering for you. Thanks, Serge. We're cheering for you, girl.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Terrell Davis was handcuffed on a plane after tapping the flight attendant's arm, and then, I don't know, I guess there was just an overreaction. The good news is that the airline realized their mistake right away and profusely apologized. But, I mean, this is still a crazy story.
Anyways, he got to appear on, I don't know, one of the big networks, CNN or Fox, and he sat down and he tried to explain, you know what? All I was trying to do is get the girl's attention. I was busy on the plane. My question is this. How many people on that plane were black and that big that you couldn't figure out who this guy was? Or was he that intimidating? Because he did not resist. He just went along with it because, I mean...
resisting, you're just going to make it worse, and he probably knows that.
Okay, but in any event, there was not like a alcohol or substance abuse thing. This was a guy who... And I'm not a Denver guy, and Terrell Davis is far from being my favorite running back of all time.
He's Hall of Fame, though, so you got to respect that.
I kind of danced on that one for a while, so that's another story for another time. He had a couple great seasons, but... I just say this. 2
Super Bowls.
Okay, I know. I'm not even going to go there. We'll have that fight on another day. However, I'm just thinking that it's ridiculous of the United States of America that in this time in 2024, a man tries to get someone's attention. A large black man gets handcuffed on an airplane.
Yeah.
I hope he gets free flights for the rest of his life.
I agree.
You agree? Hey, Terrell, we're on your side in this one. We'll talk about your Hall of Fame credentials at another time.
Okay.
We got an Oakland Raider in the house. I mean, a Las Vegas Raider in the house. Vegas Raider in the house. I don't see him saying anything positive or nodding his head positive about anything about the Denver Broncos.
I would be shocked if he did.
Thank you very much.
It's also Toronto Indy weekend. Looking very much forward to that. I will be at the Fan Friday tomorrow watching, I think there's just going to be some qualifying for some of the feeder series and then the IndyCar practice. So very much looking forward to that. The race itself, I mean, it's a tight track. I'm not the biggest fan of it. The drivers aren't the biggest fan of it, but it sounds like they like coming to Toronto.
Oh, yeah, that's what it's all about. I'm just thinking that... and Friday, if anyone wants to go, it's free.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You just have to make a donation, and it's free.
That's pretty cool. What I'm just saying is that the arrangements for the Indy got a little bit disrupted by Mother Nature.
Yes, because of all the rain that we had this past week.
So there's been some talk about already what tires they're going to use. Now, I think if the sun comes out, which has been like this, and with the humidity, it should.
Yeah, the roads are going to be dry enough. Like,
that's what I'm saying too. So I mean, I just heard like they were saying, or what condition it did to some of the track now that they've had to put big heavy duty machines on there to get all the air off. We don't know what those machines have done to pertinent parts of the track.
Sure.
We're going to find out pretty quickly though, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think they will. Don't you think that they'll have this resolved by the time they do qualifying and all that? And the lesser cars will figure it out along the way?
Well, I mean, they'll learn tomorrow quickly, right?
That's what I'm figuring.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Oh, in any event, everyone go down there. It's one of the biggest events in the world, and there's a lot of non-sports people that bitch about shit like that. Let's just talk about the economic clout that it brings to the city, and we'll say, let's keep the Indy here forever.
Absolutely.
Wish it was F1.
I wish we had a new track. Because I think F1, that's Montreal now. So.
Oh, yeah, they built the Gilles Villeneuve. Come on.
Exactly. Speaking of F1, it's Hungary this weekend, the big go-kart track, essentially. But before we talk about that, Haas signed a deal. They will be teaming up with Toyota Gazoo Racing, and they will be using their facilities in Germany, which were originally built for F1 when Toyota had their own team. One of the biggest money blunders, I guess, in the sports history, because they never got higher than, I believe, 5th. But now Haas, a big partner now in Toyota Gazoo Racing. Every other part of racing that they're in, they're very successful. It's got to be pretty exciting if you're a Haas fan.
Yeah, sure. At least you're going to move up the scale. I don't think you're going to get in top 5 anytime soon. But then again...
Baby steps.
Okay, but then again, let's talk about the difference between McLaren last year and this year.
Well, McLaren, they hit rock bottom, a few years ago. So, and Haas has been kind of like one of those like 7 to 10 teams. So, like, why can't they move into, a 5th spot,
All indications are they're certainly putting the money and the engineering into achieving that spot. Okay?
With the Toyota money now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it should be able to go up. But my take on the matter is this. This track is how old?
Hungary? Oh, it's been around.
41, I heard. Yeah. Something like that. Okay. What really intrigues me about F1 when you talk about this, Was there a small difference between the cars in 1941 and 2024? Just a small difference between the cars?
Just a tad difference, no downforce, they were just like bathtubs on wheels back
DSR,
then.
whatever the case may be.
DRS.
DRS. What fascinates me about this is that these guys are maneuvering around the track in these cars in a track that was traditionally built a long time ago. So
I would frame it the other way, where I think it was a lot more impressive for those guys to get those just around anywhere at high speeds.
Point well taken.
Because you play those cars even in a simulator, you're like, you brake and then you go out of control. I'm like, I don't even know how I'm supposed to drive this, but
I'm still saying that I think that we should be looking at the fact that the constructor standings and the driver standings are so close compared to this time last year.
Oh, yeah.
That we're going to see who makes a break to get in there. I think you're hoping that your boys at Ferrari tie their shoes a little tighter this weekend.
Well, this is going to be a big couple races, because it's this one and then Belgium next week, and then it's summer break, so they're going to be off for a month before the race in the Netherlands. But for Ferrari, this is going to be huge for them getting back on track. Because
break?
It could be, because if you don't finish, top 5 in these, both cars in the top 5 in these next two races, you might as well kiss the constructors goodbye.
It's going to be a battle to get in there. That's why I'm loving Zach Brown and his McLaren guys, because his cars are running hot, and they think they're going to get, especially in qualifying, they're believing if they get the right qualifying, that they're going to be able to be good enough that Pastrani and Piastri and Lando Norris will be able to control from up front. Because isn't it a little bit better track to be controlling if you're especially in the top couple 3 pole positions?
I'm trying to think of the track, how it is with that. Yeah, I guess it is tight in some places.
Couple hairpin turns.
A lot of straightaways, yeah.
Oh, yeah. When we get to the hairpin turns, it's going to be there. That's when I expect one of my favorite athletes on the face of the earth to once again show why he is the dominant driver in F1 today.
Well, hold on. Back it up a step. I want to talk about McLaren a bit. They got to stop screwing up.
Oh, agreed.
They've thrown away some huge opportunities.
Huge.
I don't know. That's got to be, I don't know, they got to do a little bit of soul searching in that regard, I think.
This is why I'm going to watch qualifying a little bit closer than I normally do, because a lot of things in this track at this time could be decided in the qualifying.
Yeah.
And as long as your car's running and you have no mechanical problems or some weird shit happens.
Well, knock on wood.
Okay, but I'm saying, like if everybody's running clean and you get some of those top qualifying spots, you could run this race. And we all know that McLaren's car has been running hot all year.
Arguably the best car on the track this year.
Okay, so there you go. So they got a chance this is their chance to even move up a little bit further and push your boys at Ferrari a little bit further back.
I agree.
Should be interesting.
But another big question is Mercedes. If they have another good weekend, Perez could be fucked.
You know what? And I like Sergio. And this is one of the things that I haven't learned enough about F1. Why if Max is so dominant and Sergio is sucking hind tit? Like, what's going on here? This could also cost him his seat in the long run, correct?
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
He's denying that, but we all know the rumor out there about the 100 points back and 5 spots back in the championship. He is playing the biggest game of hopscotch all time with that.
He's dancing on the fence, what do you call that, precariously?
Yes.
I'm predicting somehow, some way, because of the track and his experience, that Max is going to weasel his way through. And he'll be 1 or 2.
No, real hot take there.
Well, come on, he's our boys. He's going to come out because everyone's talking about it's all in qualifying. If Max wins qualifying, I'm giving him the race, which is a very easy call. I've heard the guys at Mercedes have been also chirping about after last weekend. They're saying, "Hey, don't forget about us."
Oh, absolutely.
So it should be an interesting race. I'm going to tell you. Because I'm still only in grade 3 when it comes to the F1 situation. I'll be honest. I'm going to watch qualifying. I'm definitely because the whole season I realized some of the earlier races I should have been paying attention to qualifying a little bit more. This race I'm going to be paying attention to qualifying because
you should be watching every qualifying.
I know sometimes I do, then I get bored because I go, what this track? But understand.
Yeah, but you watch everything on the PVR, so you can just like fast forward through stuff.
That's what I do, but I should go slower. It doesn't matter. The bottom line is pay more attention. Don't fast forward. Pay more attention to the minutia of qualifying.
Yeah.
And you've been telling me that for 2 years now. And suddenly I got hit in the head and going, whoa, this is a little bit more important than I originally thought.
So I want to pose a question to you. Who scores points first, Logan Sargent or any of the Sauber drivers?
Let me call my bookie.
Okay.
I'm going to call my bookie and see what are the better odds is. That's one of the great, funniest takes that we've done since we've been starting to do this show. And I hope nobody's out there. I hope Logan's not insulted.
He had a good race last time out. He was 11th.
Okay, so what was your take on it?
Like, who's going to score points first?
Yeah.
I might just say one of the Sauber guys because it's 2 versus 1. Just taking simple odds.
Let's just go.
Although Sauber has been the biggest dog shit team this season. I'm not going to dance around that.
Okay, I agree. But that's just a funny take on the whole situation, especially if you're an F1 fan out there.
Yeah.
You know exactly what we're talking about. When you told me this, I've been laughing ever since, just because. And it's not a laughing matter. It's just the reality of Formula One.
Absolutely. So we will move this along to one of our, I don't know if it's one of our favorites here, but a big team just down the road along Lakeshore playing at Exhibition. Toronto FC, they won, breaking their 7-game losing streak last week against Philadelphia 2-1 at home, although last night they lost 3-1 at Miami. I know you want to bring up the Keith Pelly factor with them and the Argos, who we're going to talk about later. But
okay, well, in any event, I'm just saying that it's you know how I feel about this. I'm not the biggest TFC fan, but I think they were getting to a point a few years ago where they were becoming one of the dominant teams in MLS.
Oh yeah.
Okay, Mr. Manning is no longer running the show.
No.
Okay, so and I'll get to that later in the event anyway. I think they needed a massive change because I think they've been disrespecting the fan base. That's my big take on it. Like, you've got to
some of the most loyal fans
in the
around,
city, in the
are
city.
TFC fans.
You got it. So now what have you done? You've taken a product that was this big, made some questionable personnel decisions, and the team went right off the rails. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? What about those 28,000 people that are coming out every week, Mr. Manning? That's why you lost your job, in my humble opinion.
Well, and there's another thing with the Argos that might have cost him his job too.
Well, I think that the guy did not have any respect for the team. He was a soccer guy. He was not a football guy. And I think that had something to do with it. But what makes it even more interesting...
You mean a football guy, not a soccer guy?
No, he's a soccer guy. Manning was a soccer guy. He had nothing... He knew little to nothing about
football?
About football. It's coming on now. Yeah, his number one thing was TFC, because he was saying, like, that CFL secondary thing, does that lead to the fact that maybe he lost his job too? Because obviously, right now in the city, the Toronto Argonauts have a higher profile than TFC at the moment, which is my point.
You think so?
I'm just listening around the city, what people are saying when I pick up the sports page. I think it's... I sometimes question, like, how much time should we spend on TFC when their profile on the...
Well, we don't spend much time on them.
Okay, but I'm saying I'm almost at a point now, are we going to spend too much time on them? Because their place in the sports page or the sports acumen in the city has diminished rapidly.
Yeah, but I mean, they're still in the playoff spot. It's not like they're doing complete dog shit.
They better pick it up because we're.
I agree because they're falling fast.
You got it, and I'm just saying, the fan base deserves more. And a guy gets fired when the Toronto Argos, we're going to say, well, they made the Grey Cup last year. No, it doesn't matter.
No, 2 years ago.
2 years ago. No, they lost. Oh yeah.
No, last year they lost. I was at the division final. They lost Cruz.
I forgot about that. But anyways, my point being is, you're the guy that's supposed to bring up both profiles. The one profile that you didn't care about is still maintaining some kind of whatever, and the profile that you have a diehard, huge fan base to has been neglected. Mm-hmm. There has been rumors, and I've been looking it up. I'm not going to say any players because I don't want to jinx anything or say what's going on. But if you're going to throw money around, make sure it's guys that just don't want to party on Woodbridge and St. Clair. Okay? You know what I mean? Don't bring in guys that are going to play. I mean...
It sounded good signing Insigne at the time.
Oh, the welcome to the city was off.
He was hot off the Euro Cup where he had a huge role on that team.
What has he done since he's been?
Oh, I know, not much. Bernadeschi's actually been a pretty smart signing, though.
Oh yeah, that may work out, but I'm wondering what the signings are going to be in the next little while. Like there's rumblings.
Yeah, I mean it's the summer transfer window now, so
Yes,
a lot can't happen up to August 31st is when I believe it closes. So plenty of time to figure that out. Anything else on TFC?
Just want to say when you have that kind of money base, when you're one of the richest teams in the MLS, come on guys, tie your shoes tighter.
We'll move this along to their roommates, the Toronto Argonauts, who won at Montreal. A huge victory, 37-18 in Montreal, I should add.
Yep.
At McGill, and then they will play Hamilton in Hamilton this Saturday. Another chance for another huge couple points. I know it's looking like Toronto, Montreal are going to be the top two again in the East, and then the West is looking like Saskatchewan and BC.
Yeah, which was a great game last week. I just want to say, you know what? Because we're doing this, I like the fact that I have the time, but I'm attracted to the TV, so I actually want to watch the game. So when I say something on the air like I am right now, I have some validity to what I'm saying. The Toronto Argonauts play an interesting, entertaining type of football. Mm-hmm. Their defense still has some leaks, but they got this Jerry and Grant guy on special teams.
Oh, yeah.
Just people turn it on when they kick him the ball because every time the ball goes to this guy, something electric happens. This guy's got what, 100 yard kickoffs, returns, and it's not even mid-season?
Keep them coming. Keep them coming.
I really want to have a big shout-out to the quarterback,
Cameron Dukes.
Cameron Dukes. I'm going to say this. This guy got thrown into a situation where he could have sunk, swum, or never be heard of again. He's holding his own. And he's got the Argos, I think, run the ball as good as anybody in the CFL.
Absolutely.
So they got a great O-line. I do think they have to tighten up on the defense. However, we're not going to talk about the elephant in the room till the time comes, but I'm going to wonder what's going to happen because by the time we get to a certain point in the season, the Toronto Argonauts could be 6-3. That's a realistic possibility.
6-3.
6-3. And after 9 games, we know what the situation is going to be considering roster movements for the Toronto Argonauts.
Yeah, so after Saturday's game against Hamilton, Chad Kelly will only have 3 games left on his suspension. I think he's going to take the starting job right back from Cameron Dukes. Sorry, buddy. But the good news about Cameron Dukes is he's probably going to land on his feet with another team.
I don't think
next season.
Oh yeah, next season.
But
the Argos going to keep him here now. He should just get extra money if they're 6-3.
I hope he finds a way to get a bonus. That'd be nice.
I think the fact that he should be respected because the question was the Argonaut situation at quarterback.
Yeah.
And this guy's unmanned it very well. I don't mean to, how would you put it, downgrade a situation that we have both agreed on is not good.
Yes.
I want to be in the front row when Mr. Chad Kelly has to sit down in a microphone and talks to the Toronto media.
Ooh, that should be spicy.
I can't wait.
And we're not too far.
You're going to get it. And not only that, the question is, when is he allowed to practice? When is he allowed to get back?
Technically, he is allowed to practice.
Is it a PR thing?
Yeah, because he was practicing with the team initially, and then there was a lot of outrage about it.
Of course there was. Come on. Look what went on. And the guy's running around the field like he still owns it.
Yeah, that's an issue.
Definitely. And they're going to have to answer these questions. I think that maybe Mr. Manning got lucky because is part of the reason that he's not here. I think it's a combination of everything.
Yeah, I agree.
Performance by TFC, the way that he handled the Chad Kelly situation. What he can't take credit for is the fact that the GM has put together a good roster, and they're very competitive in the Eastern Division of the CFL.
And I think that wraps up our TFC Argos check-in very nicely, and we will move this along to the NHL, shifting around the order of the show a little bit today, where we will save the Maple Leaf stuff for a little bit later. But Steven Stamkos was unveiled in Nashville, and they put up a photo of Stamkos in full Preds gear on Instagram with the passion. Can you believe this is a real photo? No, Nashville, I cannot.
And it's coming out now that Steve Stamkos was very melancholy, and when he first signed, he said all the right things. Now we're down the road, and he is expressing the fact that The disappointment is I thought the disappointment would be large in the beginning. It seemed to be just seamed over. But now that he's in Nashville, he's putting on the uniform. And he's still going to be a professional. He's still going to be great hockey. But this had a little bit more effect on him and his family than we originally expected.
Of course it did.
Which is only natural. Guys, Mr. Tampa Bay, what I'm really liking about is the scribes in Tampa Bay got up and yelled. The fan base got up and yelled.
This is your captain. This is your best player in team history. A generational goal scorer. You kick this guy to the curb with a lowball, stupid contract. They have every reason to be pissed off. If I was a Lightning fan, I'd be like off my rocker right now.
I kind of agree, but you're not apropos to seeing a guy that's played for the Leafs his whole career getting shipped out of town. Not mentioning any names. We'll get to the Toronto Maple Leaf report in a minute. But
different circumstances.
I think you can spin it. My opinion on all of this.
This guy captained your team to 2 Stanley Cups in a row.
End of story. Then we will not compare apples to oranges then at this point in time. However, the interesting thing about it is what people forget, and they shouldn't forget, at any given time, sports is a business.
Yes, absolutely.
Players are like cattle. Check their teeth, check their feet, and then we go from there. I don't mean to be so sordid or like dismiss it so like.
Yeah, but it just seems like Tampa Bay's making bad roster decision after bad roster decision. I think that's the issue.
Is that your boy Brisebois?
Yes, that's my boy Brisebois.
Okay, so we'll leave it at that. Any event, I just hope that Stamkos continues to have a Hall of Fame career.
Oh, you know he will.
Of course he is. Yeah. And I've always liked the guy. I've always liked Stevie Stamkos, what he did, the fact that he was on a team and he had that injury problem for a little bit, came all the way back and won the Stanley Cups. Huge respect to Steve Stamkos.
Absolutely. And we will take this from one of the top centers in the game to a budding young center. Quentin Byfield signed a 5-year by $6.25 million extension with the LA Kings this year. They'll kick in this season, and he got a nice $5.5 million bonus when he signed that on the 15th.
Okay, so I did a little research now. At first I thought, wow, this guy's getting production-wise and money. I wasn't quite sure if the balance was there personally. That's how I looked at it. The guy's still on an upswing in his career.
Yeah.
Okay, he's still moving way up. He has the potential to be...
He's only 22.
That's my point. So in this age where there's apparently going to be another $4.5 million salary cap increase next year...
I bet you it's going to be higher.
Wow, that would be insane. You've pointed out to me, and I looked at it, and according to Puckpedia, this could be a bonus contract.
Oh, I think this is money for LA. I think this is a huge value contract. In a few years, he's going to look like a $9 million player, maybe even 10.
Okay, but look at what they're paying him because contract's 5 years, right?
Yep.
Wow.
6.25. That's fantastic if you're an LA Kings fan.
You should be jumping up around and doing cartwheels, and he also has the potential, like we said. This guy plays both ends of the rink, people. He's a great skater.
Big boy,
and skates and scores. Like you said, this could be the bonus contract, one of the best signings. We're going to have to wait and see, of course, because we have the Johnny Gaudreaus of the world.
Early returns are very good, though.
What's that?
Early returns are very good on Quentin Byfield.
Okay, so now that I've looked at it, because I kind of went, what?
Probably the best player in his draft, the way it's looking right now. I would definitely take him over Lafreniere.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. I was going to get back to the drafting. It's just a matter of time before I figure out he could very well be the best player drafted that year.
Although there was some serious talk about him going number one that year. We shouldn't bury that.
No, I know it is, but it was all up in the air, and then what scout lighted who and blah, blah, blah.
Well, that's usually how it goes.
Okay, so
it usually comes down to, like, have you scouted this guy enough, right? Because you're not going to take a guy you haven't seen. That's just bad management. But
I just say congratulations to him and the LA Kings because, like you say, this could be the bonus contract with the increases of the salary cap that we're going to see this year and next year. Could be amazing. Good for you, LA Kings.
Good for you, LA Kings. A bit of sad news about Torrey Krug. He could miss the upcoming season for the St. Louis Blues because of an ankle issue. He is out indefinitely after being diagnosed with pre-arthritic changes in his left ankle, which resulted from a bone fracture. He will rehab for the next 6 to 8 weeks before being reevaluated to determine whether surgery is needed. If so, he will miss the entire season.
I heard rumors of, if you remember, Grant Hill had this kind of problem.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I was doing a little research, and it's a scary thing because they have to avoid this thing called staph infection. I'm no doctor. I don't understand why this could expose them to this type of thing, but they say the way the operation is and that things are open, I don't know. I hated Torrey Krug when he was on the Boston Bruins, okay? But now...
I knew you were going to take it there.
Thank you. Now, here's the thing is, I don't wish bad on this guy. I hope he plays another 10 years. Because regardless of what we think personally, which should be maybe one of the themes of the show, don't take your personal views and lay it on somebody who might have to suffer through something that we'll never have to deal with. Mm-hmm. So I'm wishing 100% clean health, back in the league, play another year, 10 years, Torrey Krug, regardless of my Boston Bruin
hatred.
I never used the word hate, did I?
You're a hater.
I hate the Boston Bruins? Oh, yeah, I forgot.
That's what your Lions, man. Come on.
I can't
Do you get
stand
amnesia
the
like,
Boston Bruins. I hate everything about them. I hate the color of their jerseys. I hate the arena they play in. I hate the color of their skates. I don't even like the way they tape their sticks.
There's the Cruz we all know and love. I thought you were getting amnesia like Beckham and Victoria Beckham in that Uber commercial.
A leopard never changes his spots, okay? Let's just cut to
Definitely
the
not this leopard I'm looking at.
Thank you very much.
The Carolina Hurricanes agreed to mutually agreed to terminate Evgeny Kuznetsov's deal, and he will return to Russia. A little bit surprised by this one because it looked like Carolina thought, I don't know, they can reinvigorate his career, you know. You don't just acquire a guy like that for nothing.
Agreed.
You know, so him going back to Russia is a little bit of a shock, although the more you think about it, the more I'm not that surprised considering his personality and temperament, let's just say.
Oh, 100%. Now, I'm going to say something here that I don't want to contradict myself, but here's what you got to take into consideration here. Sometimes these how would you say it? I really can't answer the phone with my brother calling because I'm on the air, so I'm going to have to call him back, so to speak. You know what I mean? So I'll be back, bro. But in any event, there's been a history, and I don't want to disrespect or I don't want to prejudice, but some of the attitudes of some of the Russian players over the years has ended up with contracts ending and shipping these guys back to the gulag. Is this another one of those cases?
I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, he had some issues too. I'm sure that contributed to it, where they're just like, maybe the team is just like, we don't want to deal with this.
Well, I'm getting at, and I don't want to use the same brush to insinuate all Russian players, but there is a little bit of a pattern over the last 10 years. If you freaking peel back the onion, where some of the Russian players have not adapted or brought some attitude to the table that ends up finding them playing the KHL before their time. That's just weird like that.
There's money to be had in the KHL, though.
Oh, of course there is.
Let's not forget that.
And you're back home, and you got the family, so I understand.
That's why Pavel Datsyuk left, probably a couple years before he could have retired in the NHL.
Oh, agreed. But I think that's a different situation because he had done everything he could possibly do in the NHL.
Well, that's my
back
point.
Home and you know what I mean? It's like Messi coming to Miami. He did everything else. Let's go back for the bag. It's a little bit different because Datsyuk is a Russian.
Yeah.
Great hockey player. If you want to spend the last 2 years of your career after accomplishing everything in the NHL to show your friends and family back home what you can do for them, I respect that. But if you're going back home because of nefarious reasons, so to speak, after you've been drafted high, a team's invested in you, you've made good money, and all you've done is kind of like, and you go back home, I wonder sometimes why players get dropped or players don't get as high in the draft as they should have.
Although Russians are looking less risky than some American college players nowadays.
Oh, I will agree with that all the way. That's why I love the draft choice of the Montreal Canadiens this year.
Go with the Russian.
Do you see this kid?
I've read his scouting report. I've seen the highlights.
The more I look at this guy, hey, Mr. Hughes of Montreal, good job.
I don't even know if you can call this a knock. The only question about him, I don't want to get too off topic about this, but is his unorthodox skating style, how that's going to translate to the NHL?
He's got enough speed. But
he does that wide stance thing where he tries to. I don't know if that's going to work in the NHL.
He better not try to do an OHL move and cut into the center with that skating style. We know what happens.
Oh, I know.
Ask Connor Bedard. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that
there you go.
I did notice that. You noticed that in the film too, right?
Yeah.
Great speed on the guy.
Oh, fantastic. Not a knock on his skating in that regard. Just the style.
Yeah, I noticed that too. You know what I mean? It's like a boxer boxing with one hand down kind of deal. Keep that hand up kind of deal. That's what I'm hoping. But outside of that, the guy's skill level is amazing.
Absolutely. Joe Pavelski officially announced his retirement. We kind of saw this coming. So congratulations to him in his career. Borderline Hall of Famer. We'll have to see and discuss that. Although there's some guys getting into the Hall of Fame now where you're like, maybe he does get in.
The numbers getting skewered over the years. The game has changed and all that.
Well, and the Hockey Hall of Fame's a boys club.
You think?
That's number one.
Maybe the biggest boys club in all biggest four sports in the league. Maybe football is getting there too. What I want to recognize is the fact is if he makes the Hall of Fame, I'm not going to say no. As we sit here at the table right now, he is borderline, but a fantastic for a career on a guy that was a working man's hockey player. Is that the best way to describe it?
Absolutely.
A working man's hockey player. And you know what I mean? We've seen him on the highlight reel sometimes. We've seen him clearing people out in front of the net. We've done all the things that you'd want on a guy that played that long in the NHL. Like if you knew that you were getting a Joe Pavelski on the day that you were drafting a hockey player, would you complain?
No. He was like a 7th round pick, worked his way all the way up to the NHL, started as like a 3rd, 4th liner, and eventually became one of the top producing players in the league.
And not only that, everybody out there that's listening to this and you're a young guy trying to make it to the league, it's not always your talent, it's your work ethic.
Yes.
He is an exquisite example of a man with an absolutely stunning work ethic, and look what it's got him. That should cover all sports, though.
Yeah.
Have a work ethic and go. So great career to Joe Pavelski. Big shout out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Big shout out.
We'll finally take this to the segment I know you've been waiting for, the Toronto Maple Leafs report, where the Leafs have hired Mark Leach as the director of amateur scouting. He spent the last 11 seasons with the Dallas Stars as an amateur scout. And we know Dallas's track record with scouting and drafting, so that should be very cool. I think
Aren't
that's
they top 5 in the last 10 years in the NHL?
Oh,
Did I come across me? Yeah.
You look at a couple of their drafts, like, was it 17, 18? Those two, like, crafted their next decade.
Oh.
Like, you look at the players, Miro Heiskanen, Ottinger, Robertson.
Line it up. But here's another thing about them. You combine that with, who's their general manager again? I'm having a brain fart.
Oh, my God. Jim Nill.
Okay. Not only is he drafted well, look at the key trades he's made along with the signings. I hope that this guy that's coming to Toronto now is picked up in his ears and maybe talks into Toronto's ears, because the Duchesne, they got Tyler Seguin.
Well, he's on the amateur side, this guy, so.
But, I mean, he's in an organization that's combined the two. And I really thought, remember when the playoffs started, Dallas was one of my teams that I thought might get there. They didn't quite do it, but they still have the horses that if this time next year Dallas was in this finals, would you be surprised?
No, they definitely look like the top contender for that Central Division again. So, and I understand you have your own Toronto Maple Leafs report relating to canines of all things.
Listen, let's just talk about this. Someone's got to keep that. Let's tell the truth here. This is Toronto. This is Maple Leafs, 365 days a year. I want to shout out to Austin Matthews, who has one of the coolest dogs I've ever seen. And not only that, the dog looks like Austin. Go online. You know, see, when my dog just got a haircut, so I got teased all the time. You've seen Stanley in his glory days. Some people say, Cruz, he kind of looks like you. You guys go to that same hairstylist? Now,
that's a common thing. People start to look like their dogs. You hear that a lot.
When I got my dog shaved, people said, oh, you ruined his look. You don't look like you anymore. But I think that Austin's dog is it's a terrier collie mix. Go look at the line, and he's holding the dog, and you go, wow, man, Austin, the dog kind of looks like you. And Austin's a cool looking dude.
Sure.
Okay, so when he's got a dog like that, which leads me to believe the number one dog lover on the Toronto Maple Leafs is the one and only Mitch Marner.
I know he is a dog guy.
Yeah, I think he's got 2.
Okay, there you go.
He's got 2. So if anyone knows anything about me, I spend less time with humans and more time with dogs. So I want to have a big shout out to the number one players on the Toronto Maple Leafs for bringing their dogs to the forefront. It makes me like you, I don't know, hair more.
Okay.
Just a hair more. I'm not going to buy season tickets, get a Leaf jersey.
Well, good luck getting them.
Okay, but I mean, I'm not going to buy a Leaf jersey tomorrow.
No.
Okay, you know what I mean? Shout out to the Toronto Maple Leafs top-tier players for showing the world that the dog can be your best friend.
All right. We'll keep this moving to another kind of dogs in the NBA and basketball, where Joel Embiid was announced as the starting center for Team USA, and a lot of people are feeling a certain kind of way about it. Although, to be honest, the way I view it is basketball, it's such a sport about positions and matchups where, of course, you're going to have Embiid as your starting center. It's the obvious solution.
That's only because he's Embiid. I predict.
Well, hello.
Okay, I predict this. He'll be out of the rotation, the first guy going to the bench in FIBA. Rules are different. Now, he should know because he started playing.
You have less fouls to work with, too, in FIBA.
Exactly.
5 fouls.
And not only that, he started over there. So his roots are...
Although he doesn't have much international basketball experience. So I don't know what rule set he was playing by.
Up until he went to Kansas, he was playing by FIBA rules.
Okay.
That's a long time ago. A long time ago. I just want to point out a few things about this whole Olympic, what do you call it, hype, so to speak. I've actually taping the game tonight between the United States and Serbia, the exhibition game, because I want to see what Serbia looks like.
That happened last night.
Was it last night?
Yeah.
Don't tell me the score. I was watching too much of the Republican convention, full disclosure. That's another story. However, I just want to see how the other teams are working and how he's working in there, because I think there's too many dogs on the American team, which you've discussed before. The depth and talent they have is immense. I'm saying that...
As it should be.
Of course. But I'm just saying I want to see how the rotation works out. Embiid, because he had the chance to go play for France, wasn't it? Because he has a dual citizenship.
Yeah.
And he picked America, so he could only play for America for the rest of his life. Okay, and being a Philadelphia guy, I guess he knew, I'm going to stay on the American side. I play in Philadelphia, okay? But I'm going to be interesting to see the rotation, because you did hear the starting 5, right?
Yeah, LeBron, Tatum, Embiid, Curry. Who am I missing?
Not Halliburton. And it's not Drew Holiday. We're missing a big guard.
Yeah, it's another
Anthony
guard.
Edwards? No.
Anthony Edwards, yes,
Anthony
you're right.
Edwards. That's the 5 there, which is a dominating top 5.
Yeah.
To get at.
Oh, no, I got to have Kevin Durant coming off the bench. Damn.
You know what? Durant's living with that. And
as I imagine he would be.
Okay, but here's the thing about this.
Because he knows he's going to kick everyone's ass coming off the bench.
He's Kevin Durant.
Exactly.
But we have discussed this off the air, how these guys have said all these shit about each other for so long. Not Curry and LeBron so much.
That's Durant and LeBron, especially Durant at LeBron. And now all of a sudden he's kissing his ass. Calling him toxic, like not even like 5 years ago. Now all of a sudden it's like, oh, you feel his presence just being with him. It's magic being with LeBron, you know? It's like, oh, shut up, Durant. This is why I can't stand you anymore.
Listen, I don't know Drake, but I bet you if I was in the room with the Drake, he probably has a little bit of a presence, doesn't he? Don't know any of his songs. Come on, Durant, that's weak on your part. I just think that they better forget about that team with Iverson and
the 04
Tim
team.
Duncan. Yeah, because they do this together, and all of a sudden the chemistry wasn't that good anymore, and they brought that chemistry onto the floor, and what happened? It was an embarrassment.
Yep.
Okay, so I think it's going to be a little...
And it was up to the Redeem team in Beijing.
Which has now become a big... It's on Netflix, isn't it?
What, the Redeem team?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that yet, but I should watch it.
I started to watch it, but that's a production of LeBron James. And as much as I respect LeBron James...
Well, The Last Dance was a production of Michael Jordan.
Oh, he let it be going, but that was made 20 years ago or whatever, a long time ago. That was already in the can. They just...
No, but a lot of it's like how you edit and like what interviews you take now, and you could do a lot with... You can really manipulate the story with documentaries. Happens all the time.
I'm watching Get Back by the Beatles. There was some manipulation in there, let me tell you. But
I think they would just want to focus on the good there. But anyways.
No, they got the warts in there too. What I'm getting at is the fact that this team could be... If this team did not lose a game for this whole Olympic run, would you be surprised?
Of course not.
There you go. And that's what I say. If America's going to be America, I love dynasties. I'm cheering for Canada, by the way.
Yeah,
I want a medal, and I hope we get the upset. So don't.
I'm saying anyone but the States. I'd like to see win.
Okay, but however, I'm a little different. Hey, Dad, did you hear that? Wherever you are, I still got that Yankee injected a little American in me along the way. So I'm always going to be thinking, hey, the Americans are the Americans. You know what I mean?
Certainly so.
You know what I mean? I'm wondering about the France roster.
What about it?
They got Wimbledon. They got 3 guys that play in France that are dynamos playing under FIBA rules. Mm-hmm. And how many of the top draft picks this year were from France?
The top 2, I believe.
Thank you very much. If they gel, and they've been playing together for a lot.
Oh, I've been saying it. France, I think, is going to be a very, very, very dangerous team in this tournament.
The sleeper of the tournament, in my opinion. You know what I mean? I heard that the Greek Freak has got his team running on all cylinders, but I don't think they have the
them
depth.
and even Serbia to an extent. They're both kind of like one-man shows. I don't know how far Serbia I would give a little bit of an advantage to, just because they were in the World Cup final last year.
Agreed.
But I mean, teams like that don't tend to do that well. You might sneak into a semifinal, but that's it.
So where do we put Spain?
They're all other generation kind of got old. All those guys. I'm not expecting too much from Spain.
The first game is what? 2 weeks from today, right?
I believe so.
Because the Olympics start the opening ceremony is a week tomorrow.
Yes.
But I don't think the basketball opens up until about 3 or 4 days into the Olympics.
Exactly.
We'll be watching.
We will. The Raptors signed Jamison Battle to an exhibit contract, basically a minimum salary deal. They could send him to the minors. Been playing pretty well in Summer League. Welcome to the Raps, Jamison.
Okay, so I'm going to say it here, and I'm not going to stop. The Toronto Raptors may be the surprise team of the NBA. I'm not backing down from that. I'm looking at the structure of the team. The Sheed guy they picked up, Devin Mitchell. The key to this team, and you heard it here first, when you've got Lively, Barnes, Barrett, Graydon Dick, all these young guys, there's a glue on this team that everybody wanted, and his name is Mr. Brown. Did you know that Masai did not trade him? Did you notice that he's going to be a fixture? He's a champion. Brown, he's a champion. I think that this is when you need somebody in the dressing room that's going to command respect, play great defense, and not afraid to take a big shot. I think he's going to be a glue behind the surprise team in the NBA or one of these surprise teams. You know what I mean? I'm not building the bandwagon for the Toronto Raptors.
You are the bandwagon.
I was saying I'm driving the bandwagon. What are you saying? I am driving it. I'm not building nothing. And if anybody gets on in February, I'm going to be wearing steel-toe shoes. So you better be careful of your fingers when you're getting on, because you better come on early, because you come late, you ain't getting on. Okay?
Love that.
Toronto Raptors, here we go. But while we're talking about basketball, we've discussed this last week, the whole new media contract.
Yes. Which TNT, I don't believe, ever matched.
No, they're out, and I don't think it's official now. TNT's still in the hunt, I hear. I don't think it's going to happen.
No, I thought their time to match had passed already, though.
Did it pass?
Yeah.
Was that yesterday?
Yeah, because they only had like a couple days to do it.
5 days.
Yeah.
So it was either today or yesterday it's going to happen, so it's going to be out of there. I want to have a big shout out to Charles Barkley. We love him or hate him. He is a significant voice in American culture above and beyond the basketball thing, because he's one of the truest or most real guys that talks about social issues, political issues, and sports issues at the same time. He has no filter, but he's not afraid to back up what he's got to say.
Absolutely not.
This guy is the fans' best friend, because he pointed out there's places in Montana or Wyoming or the middle of Norman, Oklahoma, do not have the streaming services that you have in New York, LA, Chicago, Miami. So he has pointed out the fact, is the money so much important that you have forgotten the fans? Because there's going to be games on that people in America may have trouble getting access to, which has never happened before in the history of the NBA. So is the greed factor going to affect the fans? I'm with Charles on this.
But, there's one part we are forgetting about. There's one big piece of this puzzle.
Money?
Well, no. You're kind of along the right track, though, and it's a word that begins with P.
Go ahead.
Piracy.
I'm not sure if you're going to teach me about that, okay?
No, you don't put that on the air.
Okay, sorry.
I will not teach Cruz anything about piracy that can be stated on the record.
We never said anything about that. That was false. Cut it out. Pulp Fiction.
That can be taken off the
wrong
record.
Wrong number. However, that's huge respect for a man of of Charles Barkley to step out and say, is it all about money all the time? What about the people that support your league? What about the diehard fans that are supporting franchises all over America?
Oh, they don't care about that.
That's a sad state of affairs. Sometimes I wish the NHL had that problem. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Which is not going to happen. So big shout out to Charles Barkley. And I hope I'm wrong. And I hope that every fan that's been growing up watching the NBA is listening to this, because I'm going to remind people one more time. The evolution of the NBA has been remarkable. Well, probably of all 4 leagues in this respect. Remember, when I was in high school, I had to wait till 11:30 at night to watch an NBA.
The game was on tape. The finals was on tape delay.
That is probably something that you're looking at me like, Cruz, you got 3 heads, because it's inconceivable for people
I've seen
of
the Magic and Bird documentaries. I know all about this.
That's what I'm saying. So you've gone from there to here, which is an amazing growth.
Yep.
Don't disrespect the fans, something we will never do at the House That Happens.
No. Speaking of media deals, the WNBA signed a record $2.2 billion with the BTV deal. Huge in league history. Nice for the ladies.
That's part of the Caitlin Clark report, isn't it? Why are they getting a media deal this big?
Wow, we all know that.
Okay, so let's have a shout out to this girl. Now, as we're talking about that, congratulations to the WNBA for getting this money, getting this exposure. Thank you, Caitlin Clark, for being the presence that you are and all the people that are around you that got you there. Okay, can we say that? However, let's get back to Mrs. Caitlin Clark herself. Lost a big game last night. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Which puts her precariously away from missing the playoffs. And
not really.
Well,
have you looked at the standings? The teams that are outside looking in are the gap is no worse. The gap is growing.
But the Angel Reese crew seems to be hanging in there too.
Oh, they're hanging 7-8, them two. But also consider Indiana Star 3-10.
Oh,
and their record's like 12-15 now.
Oh, and shout out to Caitlin for breaking the single game assist record.
Yes, she did.
Okay, let's give her that. Now, Caitlin, got to be cool on the turnovers.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's 2 aspects about the WNBA that we're going to bring up in the Caitlin Clark report. One I think is very interesting. The other one I think is ridiculous. So let's get to the ridiculous one. Do I care if Angel Reese wore a pair of Daisy Dukes to a summer league game in Vegas?
Well, if you don't, why are you bringing it up?
It was everywhere. I thought we were going to talk about the girl's skills, her talents, her competition, running for Rookie of the Year. And something as insane as this became a media question.
Well, she's a good-looking girl.
She's got an absolutely very good body. So, shouldn't we be talking about her consecutive double-double?
Yes. Well, I want to talk about what I thought was funny was the picture of her with, was it 50 Cent?
Yeah.
And she looked like a foot taller than him. That was funny. And he's a thick guy. I know.
She still looked like, if he stood behind her,
you might not be able to find him.
You might not be able to find him, which is, I'm just saying, that's where our media is in this day. I'm figuring when I was your age that wouldn't even have been an issue. But of course,
well, there was no social media
and all that kind of stuff here. By the way, she did look pretty hot. Is that the reason you're bringing up? Let's talk about her.
Well, she was also there with Jaylen Brown. At the Summer League.
Yeah, which is cool.
Yeah.
You know, Jaylen Brown's been very cool about everything, considering he did not get to go to the Olympics. Very, very cool. I give that man...
Nike. Oh, I don't know what got my throat there.
Another thing about the politics getting into sports situation. But I'm just saying, I would prefer, if we got back to, which is very odd in a league where your number one story is who's going to make the playoffs. Not the Minnesota Lynx, not New York Liberty.
Not the Connecticut Sun.
Not Vegas.
Not Seattle.
We're talking about 7th and 8th place. We're talking about practice here. Is it practice? Come on. Anyways, the other...
shout out, you brought up Angel Reese's record double-double streak, ended at 15 games.
Insane. God bless her. Let's just talk about, forget the Daisy Dukes, forget the fingernails, all that other nonsense. The girl is a great basketball player.
Yes.
Now, we've had another discussion about the WNBA and the Olympic team. And lo and behold, Someone has raised their head to discuss the roster. Oh, isn't that the GOAT we're talking about here?
Michael Jordan campaigning for Caitlin Clark to get the final roster spot in Team USA.
What is that telling you? I guess my theory about the best player...
He's getting senile.
No, he's not. He's younger than me. Michael. I've never been a Michael fan. Come on. You know Michael.
Oh, we know.
So, love Michael. Respect Michael. I'm never going to own a Jordan jersey. Okay, let's get to that. I'll own a Zeke jersey.
What if it's like a Jordan and a Bugs Bunny t-shirt?
That I could comprehend. Okay, that I could comprehend. However, that just tells you the magnitude of what one young lady playing for Iowa has done for the WNBA.
Absolutely.
It's insane.
So she's the amount that she's raised the profile of the league. Like in 25 years, we could be talking about this like the Magic Johnson, Larry Bird effect in the NBA.
With Michael Jordan coming up to campaign to get you on the team, who more could you have to campaign for you to get on the team? Maybe Jesus? Outside of that, you know what I mean? Who else could you have to campaign to get you on the team? This is a huge story in the fact that Michael Jordan, the master of marketing, where he is as a billionaire player, started with what? It's the same way that Caitlin Clark started. So he understands what that'll bring to the table for women's basketball. Not that we're agreeing with it.
No.
And I think she's going to be playing on the Olympics for the next 3. There's no doubt about it. She's going to be there. However, at this point in time, it's very interesting because what if they decide to pick Angel Reese over Caitlin Clark?
It's possible.
No.
Unlikely.
No.
Well, we talked about this. There's like another 4 or 5 players that arguably deserve the spot over either of those two.
100%. We don't want to beat a dead horse. But I find it absolutely fascinating that Michael Jordan has come to the table and put in his 2 cents. And if you don't think that has a little bit of juice, I got some bridges I want to talk to you about selling.
Oh, and what outfit does Jordan wear? Who made his shoes again?
I think it starts with N. I'm not quite sure. Jalen Brown, can you tell us what company that is?
I know it'll come to our minds eventually, but
okay. In any event, it's an interesting story, and we will follow up on it because they got to make this announcement because the WNBA is pausing their season. Remember, so the announcement's got to come within what?
It's got to be right around the corner.
I think it's the next 48 hours. The decision's going to be made. I can't wait to figure out what they're going to do. Should
be very interesting. The league also, one thing I noticed is that the WNBA, it's kind of dividing already into 3 different tiers. If you 100%. Look at the standings. So if you look, there's the top tier, or let's call it A tier. You have New York, Connecticut, Vegas, Seattle, Minnesota. You got B tier, Phoenix, Indiana, Chicago. And then there's C tier. Atlanta, LA, Washington, Dallas. We're just, how can I say this nicely? Not good teams. They're like the results suck. They are the team that plays the Harlem Globetrotters. Yeah, the Washington Generals. Yeah, they are the Washington Generals about the league. It didn't go unnoticed to me. I think it was the coach's Dallas. Is it the Dallas franchise? They beat. I could be wrong, but anyways, they beat a very tight game, and they actually stole the ball from Caitlin Clark to put the basket in that end the game. First thing the coach said after the game was 17,000 people in here tonight. Regardless the fact that we won the game, we should give credit to one little lady is the reason we had 17,000. Yeah. And I think that's huge respect for finally some of the reasons that it's rising up. One more thing I want to say, and I can't find the whole facts because I heard it went down, but then it didn't go down, is Brittany Griner decided to kneel during the national anthem recently. Oh, interesting. Yes. Now, word around the campfire is you can't tell her not because someone on her team jumped on her immediately and said, "Get your ass up." Oh. I forget her name on the team. We will verify this before the Olympics. But for this woman who had the unmitigated audacity to even attempt to think about something like that, let's talk about the reason why she had to shave her dreads. Yeah. Do you know how to spell gulag? You were involved in the worst trade in the history of the world, and you're still going to think about disrespecting your country? She would not get a uniform from me. Sorry. Regardless of her talent. There's this thing in the world that's fading rapidly every day, and it's called respect.
Let's bring that back to the table, girl. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. We'll end it at that.
We will end it at that, and we'll move this along to the Open Championship, which begins this weekend, or I guess today.
It's going on today. I've got all 5 hours recorded. As soon as I leave here, I'm going to go and sit down and watch Dana White introduce Donald Trump and watch 5 hours of golf.
Oh, my God. What a combo. There's a record $17 million purse for this tournament, including $3.1 million for the winner. And then I know there's some big comments about Tiger Woods this week that we cannot just skip by.
First of all, he's talking about Colin Montgomery. Okay, everyone knows I'm a golf junkie. Colin Montgomery, you never won a major.
Arguably the greatest player of his generation to not win one.
Okay, now you're going to question whether or not Tiger Woods is in the British Open. People said it was kind of a gnarly comment. I thought it was a very diplomatic comment from when Tiger said, hey, I'm eligible till I'm 60. Yeah. What have you done for me lately, Colin? End of story. I just think that that's a bitter old fuck who's disappointed that he blew 3 or 4 majors. He was on the leaderboard on the final day. He's been in the final pairing in a major. He didn't close the deal. Oh, by the way, how many majors has Tiger won?
Oh, was it like
15?
Okay.
Colin, go back, wherever you are. Always watch the British Open because I'm already predicting like guys like DeChambeau and that will not be in here because this is not a driving game. This is a very strategic game because you're playing links golf. Totally different than all the courses in America. You've got bunkers that were there since World War II. So,
although Bryson was working on his bunkers the other day, was just covering himself in sand. I don't know if you saw that.
Yes, I did. And I said, you better stay in there for a few hours, baby, because the way you drive, you're going to be introduced to a few of these bunkers along the way. We don't know. Like I said, we'll report on it later. I'm kind of thinking that the guys that are going to be in the hunt are going to be...
Yes, we're going to make our 4 picks.
Okay, so I'm going to start with this. I'm picking Rory. Okay? I'm picking Xander Schauffele. I'm going to pick... what's the kid's name from England? Having a brain fart. He was in there last year. We'll get back to you. Anyways, I think this kid's going to show up. And I also believe, out of nowhere, our great Canadian, I'm going with Mackenzie Hughes to make a top 5 pick because he's been sneaking around the leaderboard and he hits a great iron game. I'd like to bring in my buddy Colin Morikawa. I love the guy. Seen his putting the last couple of weeks. He hitting the ball as good as anybody. The flat stick has been denying him.
So I do not have a Canadian, but I picked Rory. Yep. I picked Xander Schauffele.
Oh, did you?
I'm picking Scotty Scheffler.
Oh, I forgot about Scheffler, but he's never had great showings at the British Open. That's the reason.
It's going to happen eventually, you'd think.
Yeah.
And I'm going with Brooks Koepka.
Interesting pick. He's another guy that's had a little problem with his flat stick. If that's the case, we should have brought up DJ, but I don't know if that's going to go there. The reason I'm going to pick Rory McIlroy is I used to think about 10 years ago that this guy was a little bit of a spoiled brat. Remember the big thing when he did win the British Open, when his dad won $1 million, betting that, he bet on this, like, you know, those Herod books.
Yeah.
He bet that some crazy odds that he had put in, like when Rory was 19 or 20. That's weird. You can bet like that, eh? But he made a bet.
Not surprising, though.
Okay, he made a bet that his son would win the British Open before he was 24 or 25 with insane odds. I don't know where he got the $100,000 from. Maybe his son. Won a bag load. Okay, and since then, Rory is not... Okay, it's 10 years since the guy won a major. Mm-hmm. However, when he blew it at Pinehurst, if you've seen his interview, they asked him, why did you go to Manhattan? The guy said, because I can walk around the streets, feel the hustle and bustle, be part of the herd that's chasing a herd, because I don't think anybody that I seen that was walking around that has to supply money for their family, have a 9-to-5 job, gave a flying fuck whether or not I missed a putt at Pinehurst.
Fair enough.
That's a character change or something about him that tells me he's not the spoiled, rotten kid that I thought he was.
Absolutely not.
Good luck to you, Rory.
Good luck to him, and good luck to everyone at the Open.
Especially Canadians.
Absolutely, especially our Canadians. We'll move this along from one major in golf to a tennis major where we had Wimbledon conclude last weekend, where we'll begin with the women's. Krejcikova beat Paolini in 3 sets, 6-2, 2-6, 6-4. Second major for Krejcikova. She won the French in 2021. Good
Great
for her.
match, by the way.
Great match.
I was cheering for your Italian girl.
Back-to-back major finals losses, unfortunately, for her, but looks like she could be punching through. The U.S. Open's the big wild card, so we'll see if she can have another run there. And, of course, the Olympics.
Well, I think she has a better shot at the Olympics than she will do because hard court is not one of her best courts. That's what I'm hearing. But anyways, I thought it was a terrific match. And congratulations on, I can't even say her name right.
Krejcikova.
Krejcikova. Big, tall girl with a good serve.
Yep.
Great match. What I want to get to is, if you heard that noise there, that's patting myself on the back saying, don't be surprised if the men's winner, Carlos Alcaraz, blows Djokovic off the court.
Oh, and did he ever, defeating Djokovic in straight set, 6-2, 6-2. The third one went to tiebreaker 7-6, although he did win that tiebreaker 7-4.
That was the best part of the match because the first 2 sets, by the time Djokovic woke up, Alcaraz was being Alcaraz.
Yeah.
I'm going to say right now, I hope that your Sinner guy gets a chance. Kuriev from Germany.
Zverev
from Germany. The couple of the Italian American kids, Fritz and Paul. These guys are all good golfers, but this Alcaraz guy's got
tennis players, not golfers.
I mean, tennis players. This Alcaraz guy's got a game that's next level.
Well, it's back-to-back Grand Slams. He won. Not back-to-back Wimbledons, back-to-back Grand Slams because he won the French this year too. And at 21 years old, with his 4th slam overall, he is the 3rd youngest to get 4, only behind Mats Wilander and Bjorn Borg.
Think about that. And Wilander would have got more if he didn't play guitar, by the way. That's another story. His guitar playing took over his tennis because he was another one of those guys, like you can kind of compare him to Rory in the sense in the golf thing.
Yeah.
I mean, in the tennis thing. Because he didn't win a lot of majors after he did all that. Like he was like good, but he wasn't good. Like that's something about those Swede guys that like Eriksson. There's 3 or 4 of the Swedes that came up that were looking so good, and then all of a sudden they disappeared.
Yeah, they fizzled out.
Yeah, I don't get that. So I'm saying that this could be interesting because once again, the hard courts at
U.S. Open?
At the U.S. Open is not Alcaraz's game. But the way I've seen him play this year, he's going to be very tough to beat. I think he should tone down that whatever attitude. Like sometimes...
Well, he's 21.
Agreed. But, you know, sometimes that he's so good that he can just try shit and get away with it and come back and win. But I think he's a generational player.
It's looking that way.
Oh,
but I want to bring it back to Djokovic. I just want to say, like, how impressive it is for him to make it all the way. I don't care if you lost in straight sets. You still made it all the way to the finals at Wimbledon just weeks after going for surgery at the French.
Huge shout out.
Insane.
Huge shout out. And guess what? He wants that gold medal.
Yes, sir, he does.
We're going to have to see at the Olympics. That'll be another event that I'll be watching just to see if he can put that notch into his
on his belt. Yeah. Alcaraz and Krejcikova both taking home £2.7 million. Equivalent to 3.5 mil American or 4.79 Canadian. So, yeah, a little bit of a pocket change there, I'm sure.
Nice day at the office.
Yep.
Good week at work. I'd take that any day of the year.
Absolutely. So the Olympic tennis starts July 27th. It ends August 4th. And then the U.S. Open begins August 26th, the final major of the year and my personal favorite. And that runs till September 8th.
I do believe they're playing on clay because they're in France, right?
Yes, they will be playing at Roland Garros.
That's right. So that should be very interesting, you know, especially for a guy like Alcaraz. I'm saying that I'd like to go I think you got to bet $100 to win 90.
Probably.
Because he's an insane favorite to win on that surface.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We will move this along to Major League Baseball, where we are still in the middle of All-Star break. I mean, you got to talk about that awful anthem before the skills night, before the home run derby night. What do you call that? The worst anthem of all time?
Drunk and disorderly.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to just say this. What's her name? Ingrid, whatever she. I never knew.
You said you were going to figure out her name. So.
Okay. In any event, I never even heard of this pop star.
No.
Like, I mean, she must be entertaining my granddaughter.
But I mean, we're not exactly in that scene, so that's not the most surprising thing.
So I'm only going to give her this. She has not done the worst national anthem of all time.
Oh.
Never. Because Carl Lewis is in the Hall of Fame for the worst national anthem.
Worse than Roseanne's?
Roseanne was making jokes, so she was just being a clown about it. So that's completely different. So I got to put Roseanne over here, which was like her whole thing spitting on the ground, grabbing her crotch, the whole thing.
That was funny.
Yeah, so you knew that she was doing the whole thing tongue in cheek. So I'll give her that.
Still doesn't mean it's any good.
No, it was not that good. But Carl Lewis was an unmitigated disaster. He came out there thinking he was Nat King Cole. He was Kermit the Frog. Come on.
Hey, I like Kermit.
I do too, but Kermit's not going to sing the national anthem anytime soon, is he?
You wouldn't think so.
Nah, and I love Kermit, by the way. I'm not. I should have used somebody else instead of Kermit.
The Rainbow Connection. That's like one of my favorite songs of all time.
Yeah, but I mean, he did that well in context.
Oh, exactly. Don't compare him to my boy.
But I'm not going to say that.
That's like speaking ill of Snoopy. Come on.
I don't do that. And I seen a girl today with a Snoopy shirt, and Woodstock and Snoopy were all bandaged up. Like they got beaten up.
Oh, my God.
I looked at it and said, oh, my God. My wife said, why are you saying that? I go, you know me and Snoopy. He's my boy. What'd you do to him? Kind of looked like a neat shirt, but it looked like they just went 15 rounds with whoever. It was just a weird shirt.
That's a weird shirt. I wore my Snoopy the Flying Ace shirt on Sunday.
Ace. Beautiful, beautiful. In any event, what had happened there at the All-Star Game, it just starts to tell you that it really is just a pageant, okay? That's all it is. I think the most remarkable thing about the All-Star Game was the look on the face of Juan Soto and Aaron Judge when Ohtani rocked.
Well, hold on. Let's take it back. Shout out to Teoscar Hernandez winning the home run derby. We all know how long he's been saying he's wanted to be in that competition. Finally got in.
Boom.
Knocks the door down. I love that Vlad was his biggest cheerleader there. Brought out the Jays Teoscar jersey.
Almost brought a tear to my eye. I thought it was so cool. And they were like, you couldn't separate those two. I heard, obviously you could see it on TV.
Yeah.
But I heard they have not been separated since the minute they got to the All-Star Game, which is very, very cool.
Yeah, and then the final round right before, or I guess during when Teoscar took his break, right after one of the, reporters there was like to Vlad, like, oh, what do you think? He's like, he's about to go off. And guess what? Teoscar went off.
He went off huge. What did you think of the format for the home run?
It's a little complicated, like where it's like it's a bunch of different formats all in one. Like what happened just like this is your time limit or like this is the amount of swings you get?
You get 3 outs. It's usually 3 outs. So in my opinion, here's what happened.
Because, now it's like, what, 40 pitches?
40 pitches in 3 minutes. You be swinging. That's why I think that the Bond guy from Philadelphia, his arms were dead by the time because remember, he was a leader after the first round. And then what happened? His arms fell off. I think what it does is it just gives the opportunity for the fans to see the guy swing more because how many times have you seen the home run contest and the guy gets 3 outs? 10 swings, he's back in the dugout. So I think what it is just to keep the players into the competition longer.
Yeah, so they might have to just lower the amount of, the amount of swings you get, right?
I think if they lowered it to 30, would have been cooler.
Yeah.
With the timeout.
Because even the last round, it was 27 swings in 2 minutes. That's not a lot of time for that.
That's what I'm saying. And not only that, I like the fact that if you hit the home run so far, you got the bonus out.
Yes, and I thought that was cool.
I thought that was there. So I think that there should be some way that they can tweak it a bit where you keep in the bonus, but watch how many swings you get. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not the proprietor of how you run a home run derby, but put it this way. People show up because girls like the long ball.
Yeah. But they need to figure out something else to do with this All-Star Skills Night because it's the home run derby and then no one cares about anything else. I think they should have something where they put a bunch of targets on the field and you gotta try and hit those targets.
What with your batting?
Yeah, you gotta hit the ball at the targets on the field. So you gotta hit one to deep left. You gotta hit one to deep right. You gotta hit one to shortstop.
Okay, so I'm gonna kill that theory right here. What do they call it? Launch angle.
Yeah.
Velo. That's killing because these guys are swinging this way. You think that guy's going to be able to hit the ball in right field? Never hit the ball in right field, and it's they're going to go up there and embarrass the guy?
Well, there's some guys that can hit all parts of it. Edwin Encarnacion was that kind of hitter.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm saying there is a select few, but what if they don't make the
All-Star? Get those to the guys to the All-Star game then.
But if they're not qualified to make the team, what are you going to do? You're going to embarrass
Have them as specialists like what the NBA does.
Okay, that's interesting. I'd add that to the equation because you know what that would do? That would embarrass guys. Come on. Guy's going to get up there, never hit the right field in his life. And there you got one target, buddy. One target. You got 5 swings. 16 swings later.
Well, you don't have to hit all of them. You just have to be better than the guy beside you.
Interesting concept. Interesting. I would rather have the thing where they did the infield, and then you had to throw it across the ball. and then you had to hit 3 targets throwing the ball.
I think I think they should do that too.
I think
like a fielding competition.
Because then you'd really see the skills of the guys, their accuracy with their arms.
I mean, it would be shortstops that win them all, but
no, a couple of outfielders I'd give them the
fair enough.
I'd give a few of those guys, but I think that would really freaking intrigue me, because then you're going to see a natural baseball skill. You hit to the ball to the guy, he's got to pick it up and throw and take out a target.
Yep.
I think that would be very cool.
One last thing about the competition. I loved how Teoscar just grabbed the trophy before he was even presented it.
You know what? I miss Teoscar. Like, I
love him.
Remember we used to make a little jokes about him in the outfield, because sometimes the ball would get Teoscar and he'd throw the guy out at third base because he blew the fly in the first place. So I would give my right arm to see him back on the Toronto Blue Jays. And not only that, it's been coming out. It was mentioned on MLB because the guys were talking about him, Vladdy, in the Jays jersey. Okay? Like by Vladdy wearing the Teoscar jersey. He was going to come to Toronto for less money than he got in LA.
That's okay. Let's move on. That's just going to make me depressed.
Okay, because we'll end up, when we get to the end of our baseball segment, I'll just tell you what I think about that. But
okay. The next day was the All-Star Game, which, by the way, awful All-Star uniforms. They should just bring it back to where you wear your own team's uniform. I miss those days.
And not only that, I seen an old picture where they had one of the original All-Star Games where they had Jimmy Fox, Lou Gehrig, Babe Ruth, and somebody else, and every one of those guys were there in their own uniforms.
Well, even going back to because this is a new thing that the uniforms are worn during the games. Because I remember when I was a kid, it was like they'd have the All-Star uniforms, but like at the Derby night.
Yeah.
Which I thought was stupid too, but whatever.
Marketing.
Yeah, it was definitely the marketing team. I agree.
I don't like the motif.
No.
Is that what it was? And let's put another.
Ugly.
Ugly. Beyond ugly. I wouldn't wear it.
Was it like a brown cream? I don't know what that was. It was awful.
I thought they were bad Miami Vice lookalikes.
No, that's you're dissing Miami Vice, because those Miami Vice jerseys that the Heat wear, those are sick.
Okay, but then they try to kind of that doesn't always work when you try.
No, but it was like this off-white brown thing.
Oh, they were horrible. I thought that the one of the nights, some of the caps looked good. Like, I don't know, it was a warm-up because they had about 3 different hats.
Oh my God.
One of the hats looked cool. Yeah, but then when they got to the game, I didn't see those hats anymore. I went, whoa, what happened here?
I don't know.
Yeah, because they had some cool hats, because remember, they were all the same, but then they'd have your individual team logo on there. That's totally marketing, which I'm going to try to get the younger fans in. I actually thought the game was boring as shit.
Yeah, the American League All-Stars beat the National League All-Stars 5-3. No one had more than one hit. Very few players had more than 2 at-bats. Duran on Boston winning MVP with his game-winning 2-run home run in the 5th. Shohei Ohtani also blasting a ball, was that in the 3rd inning?
Yeah.
3-run shot?
Yeah. So
that was a real highlight of the game. If the NL had won, he would have been the MVP.
Well, like I said, I alluded to it earlier. I want to get back to that. They're going to show it like the plays of the month or whatever. All they're going to show you is Soto looking at Judge. I wonder what they had to say, because that was a rocket. As soon as I left his bat, those guys didn't move. They didn't move. Bang! Nobody moved. That was a gimme. But that's the interesting minutia about baseball. That was just a respect look. You know what I mean? They were going, wow, did you see that? Did you see that? Have you ever hit one that far? Well, I'm going to, blah, 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 whatever. I thought, and you know what? That's a real drag, too, because you were talking about the less at-bats and shit, is that all those guys are out of the game early, so now
yeah, but there's also the dance of you want to give everyone their shot in the All-Star game, too, right? You don't want anyone just warming up the bench.
I've never seen All-Star. When I was a kid, the All-Star rosters were not this big.
Oh, really?
No, I want to go back and check. I think, they have a 37-man roster?
No, come on. Isn't it just like a normal 26?
No, go check it. It's way more than that. Way more. Did you see him?
Fair enough.
It took him 10 minutes to get all the hats on the kids' heads when they were lining up the guys to introduce them. Come on, man. I went and walked my dog and came back. They were still introducing the players, putting hats on the kids' heads. I don't know. I thought that was a nice touch. I think that's a alluding to. They've obviously been watching the big...
Yeah, soccer.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they stole that from them 100%, no doubt.
We'll take this moment to just check up on the All-Star the MLB standings during All-Star break. So the only 2 divisions where the winners are really locked in right now are the NL East and the NL West, I'd say, the Phillies and the Dodgers. I really don't see the Braves catching up. I don't see the
Too many injuries.
Yeah. I don't see the Diamondbacks or the Giants or any of those teams, Padres, catching up to the Dodgers. Are we underrating Cleveland? The roster, you look at their lineup, somewhat unimpressive, but they got a plus 85 run differential as it stands.
And their starting rotation is holding up. But before we get to that, there's something that you talked about off in a production meeting, which cannot be underestimated here. The idea is to try to keep as many fans into the game as they possibly can going into September. Let's talk about the NL wildcard race.
Ooh, so for the final 2 wildcard spots, we have a number of teams in contention. St. Louis Cardinals and New York Mets have them right now, but knocking on the door, we got the Arizona Diamondbacks, San Diego Padres, Pittsburgh Pirates, Cincinnati Reds, San Francisco Giants, and the Chicago Cubs still hanging in there.
Separated by how many games? 4? 5 at the most? It's insane.
Let me check that.
It's so tight. I just go, wow. Wow. And that's, you know what, I don't necessarily.
So the Cardinals and the Cubs are separated by 4 games, and that is 8 spots in the standings.
Thank you very much. Now, baseball is loving that because it does bring attention to the eyes, but doesn't it also lend itself to the M word? Mediocrity.
Oh, mediocrity.
Just saying. It's exciting, but come on. There's a little bit of mediocrity, which is where I think that the story of the year in baseball, for me personally, is not the fact that Baltimore is going to win that division, no matter what the Yankees do. I don't give a shit. I'm just saying that when we're looking at our beloved Toronto Blue Jays, let's go back to May 1st and look at the record of the Houston Astros and the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Toronto Blue Jays, you mean?
Toronto Blue Jays, yeah. Look at that. What happened, bro?
Well, I mean, Houston just completely turning it around, and then they're only a game back of their division now.
Which
leads me to my point that the Seattle Mariners, I think it's going to be another choking season for them.
They just don't have enough at-bats. I mean, they just have enough hitting. And I think their run differential is the lowest of anybody leading the divisions.
And not only that, but their star outfielder is nowhere to be seen.
Rodriguez.
Yeah, where is he?
Okay, so I'm going to look at it this way. They're not rushing to trade him, so why should we be rushing to trade Bo? Because they're both having young guys having stubbed their toe seasons. I don't hear anybody in Seattle saying they're rushing Rodriguez out of town. However, there's a huge difference. They're in first place, and the Jays are 8 games under 500. That might have a little bit to do with it.
And Bo also never saw a pitch he didn't like.
Okay, so, but Rodriguez has been that way too. I seen him a couple bats the other night. I couldn't believe it was him. He was swinging at everything. He's like, someone's got to bring him back there and whisper in his ear.
Numbers are still better than Bo's, though.
Not by much. Yeah, they are. Appreciably because he's had more at-bats. I will give it to that. But you know what? The thing about Seattle is, like I said, they always seem to be there, but they're not going anywhere. Would you be surprised if Houston wins the division? No.
I think they will win the division. My one mistake, my one regret was not picking them. I wanted to go with them for the West Division, but then I pussied out at the last second.
So
that was my big regret.
So where do we put the Texas Rangers?
Oh, they're not making the playoffs.
They're all over the board.
For the final 2 wildcard spots in the AL, it's going to come down to Minnesota, Boston, KC, whoever loses that Houston-Seattle division, and Tampa Bay.
Okay, and how did Tampa Bay get in the mix? And we're talking about a city.
Because they're Tampa Bay.
And now we're in our city where we have the 6th highest payroll in baseball, and we're embarrassing. So which leads me to do before we leave about the baseball thing, because next weekend, in the next couple of shows, even if I'm doing it on the side, we're going to have a comprehensive look at everything that's going on in baseball and our final predictions on who's going to make the run and who's going to get there. That's coming. However, if I walk down the street and there's more people know that I talk about baseball and they know I have a podcast and blah, 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 the question is, should we fire Schneider?
No.
Clean house.
Yeah, but Schneider's not the problem.
No, definitely not. It's the upper management. So what are we going to do? We're going to move Aiken sideways, and Shapiro's going to keep talking about the baseball.
I say move him out the door.
Oh, well then, listen.
Kick him out the door. How about that?
If Shapiro and Atkins go, Schneider don't have a job.
No.
It's all gone. So you either clean house or going to do it. The question is, who do we bring in?
That's a question for another day.
We back up the Brinks truck to Alex Anthopoulos' house.
I don't think he's leaving Atlanta.
He's got too good of a gig there, but I imagine if he had the same autonomy over a team.
I agree. We should never let him go.
No. That was a battle in the front office, and knowing that they had Shapiro and Aikens breathing down their necks because they were nothing but bean counters anyway. And what are Rogers? They appear to me the greatest bean counters in the history of frickin' baseball.
That it for baseball?
Yeah. We
will take this from the diamond to the pitch, where we will start with Copa America here with soccer. Canada lost the bronze medal match on penalties to Uruguay. It was 2-2, and then losing the penalties 3-4. Benekur opened the scoring for Uruguay in the 8th minute. Kone tied it up in the 22nd.
Nice goal.
Then it was scoreless until the 80th when Jonathan David scored the go-ahead goal for Canada. It looked like they were going to win until Luis Suarez scored the tying goal in the 90th plus 2 minute. And unfortunately, Canada just couldn't keep it together. A couple penalties missed and another medalist tournament. Although this is in the first Copa America for Canada to make it all the way to the semifinals, it's still pretty good. I mean, the big story there is that, I guess, congratulations, obviously. But I don't know, how'd you feel about Canada playing their subs for this game? Because that was a little bit of a controversial factor for a lot of people.
Are we going to get to the bottom of it, though?
I think that was just a way for the manager to reward the players.
Is that what he was?
Yeah.
So he was playing for the players and not for the medal? I think he was trying to do a little bit of both.
You're trying to build up a program, though, right?
Well, that's the number one thing, because we're going to be at the Worlds in 2 years.
Yep.
So let's get everybody on the field. I could see it that way, but being so close to getting that medal would have been a huge.
It's only $1 million difference in the allocation funds, so
let's take our $8 million and run. I agree with that. So the big thing is Argentina's role.
Yes. Well, we'll get to a little bit of a story after that. But Argentina winning the Copa America 1-0 after extra time, defeating Colombia to win their record-extending 16th Copa America. Martinez with the winning goal in the 112th minute.
Beautiful goal.
Argentina now on a 3-championship-in-a-row run, Copa, World Cup, Copa. And, I mean, this, to me, is only second to what Spain did from 2008 to 2012 with their World Cup Euro run.
Okay, and I'm going to tend to agree with this, but one thing I've learned about this is, and we'll get to that in a minute, is the quality of the games. But I want to just say one thing about Copa that we've learned. America, land of the free, home of the brave, protect the individuals.
Just a disaster there in the finals with the stadium at Miami, Hard Rock.
And the Uruguay incident the game before.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, the one in the finals absolutely just bitch slaps the other one as what was worse. Come on, let's be real.
Oh, I'm not doubting that, but I never thought I would see the first one. To see it escalate to the second one.
That's soccer culture, especially South America, right? It's dirty there.
Oh,
dirty
you
AF.
think?
But in the finals, people crawling through the vents to try and get in. It was so bad that people that bought tickets couldn't even get into the match.
Okay, and not only that, they had to delay the game. Because
it's like almost like an hour and a half?
Yeah, 90-minute delay. America, you just let someone take a shot at your president, and now you did something as stupid as that kind of security down in Miami? What I'm saying for is, here in Toronto, I hope the security officials are paying huge attention to what's going on, because we're going to have maybe some of those audiences partaking in
but it's not going to be that bad here, because Canada's only getting one knockout game and a few group stage games. It's not going to be anything close to this magnitude.
Are you thinking that perhaps it exceeded because the closer we got to the finals, the more insane it got?
100%.
Okay, then. So
this is the championship final. Agreed. It wasn't just some group stage match.
And the knockout game's in Edmonton anyway, isn't it?
No, Toronto's getting a knockout game.
We got a knockout game as well.
It's Toronto, Vancouver. Edmonton didn't.
Toronto, Vancouver. Yeah, I thought they were getting
Edmonton didn't get one.
I thought that Vancouver was getting the knockout game. In any event, my biggest thing is I want to show the world that we're smart enough to be able to secure anybody who's playing the game in our country. That's all I'm saying. And I think America failed miserably.
Well, Miami.
Miami. That's America, though. Come on.
But it's not on the country. For them we talked about this with the Vancouver thing, right?
Well, because we got to be careful what we're wishing for, what we're saying. What really drives me crazy is the fact that you're going through heating and air conditioning vents to get a seat in the stadium. Crazy. I've never seen anything this nuts in my life. They had the bad things happening, like stadium things collapsing, and that was a bad tragedy, and a few other weird shit. But to actually let people climb through the infrastructure of your stadium to get to a seat. And there was people lined up to continue.
I know. I've seen the videos. I'm sure you have all have as well.
And I said, this is just outside of madness, or the ultimate madness, so to speak. You know what I mean? Which took away, I think, from a little bit of
the game.
Yeah.
I mean, this is possibly Messi's. Well, it was Angel Di Maria's last game with Argentina. Possibly Messi's last game with Argentina.
Oh, he won't
the
be
size
back.
of his ankle. Do you see that? Oh my God!
And people want to go, oh, Messi's a big boy. He had tears in his eyes. Wait a second, man. You're the leader of your country. You're on a third major tournament win, and you have an ankle injury like that, and possibly your last game playing for your country. If you're not emotional, I don't want you on the field in the first place. Come on. We're humans. After all is said and done, you got to put your pants on one leg at a time. This is a human being at the height of his glory, whatever the case may be. And he had an unfortunate incident happening, and the man got emotional. I felt for Messi. I really did. I said, this is a drag, buddy. And especially when
you can't feel too bad for him. He won.
Okay. I mean, I felt for the fact that I'd like to be able to complete the operation. You couldn't do that on that ankle?
No.
Did you see that thing?
Well, you knew the moment it was coming out of that boot, it was just going to swell to infinity.
That's why the question was, should they put the boot on or not? But I don't think he was capable anyway. You know what I mean?
What do you mean?
Like that. Sometimes they say, give him a shot, keep the boot on.
No, I mean, once he's already been subbed off, that's it for soccer.
Yeah, he's been done anyway. Because they always say that about Zeke and Isaiah in the famous game when he twisted his ankle against the Lakers. Mm-hmm. He refused to take his shoe off, played like crazy, got the game gone. But when they had to go to game 7,
yeah, forget it.
It was all over. I really think it put a bad taste in my mouth in the fact that I watch so much soccer, and I've come to the conclusion that the Euros was a better tournament.
Well, hold on. Before we get to Euros, there's a few more things about Copa that I want to talk about.
Okay.
So player of the tournament was James Rodriguez.
Oh, right. Yeah. Let's get to the
1 goal, 6 assists in the tournament. Huge. Always puts on a good show for Colombia.
And you noticed him on the field. Do you know what I mean about soccer? Is what I understand is, like, after watching so many games, I didn't know nobody to start. I checked the guy's number. Oh, I keep seeing him again. And he stood out.
Yeah.
He stood out.
Martinez, who ended up scoring the winning goal for the tournament, won the Golden Boot, led with 5 goals. The other Martinez, the goalkeeper for Argentina, won best goalkeeper. They only conceded 1 goal the entire tournament, the quarterfinal against Ecuador. Insane.
I remember when you were pointing that on the production meeting, I wasn't really looking at the stats. And when I heard that, I was like, wow,
yeah,
that's huge.
You think about it, you're like, oh, yeah, they didn't really concede any goals.
Yeah, no, that's mega, in my opinion.
Colombia won the Fair Play Award, which is, why is this even here in the Copa America?
What? Isn't that one of the most oxymoronic things you ever heard in your life? When was there fair play?
No, I can't remember any.
I don't either. And what onus should we put on the officials?
I mean, it's never that great in South America in the Copa. For the bronze medal match, it was better, I would say, than the rest of the Canada games.
Okay, I agree, because the word came down from somewhere, like, stop it, okay?
Well, I think after what the coach said.
Agreed. But here's another thing that you got to look at, okay? Just to compare apples and oranges a little bit. If Canada is playing Russia in hockey, there is no Russian officials. There's no Canadian officials.
Well, it's like this for soccer, too.
However, I'm thinking that because it's South America and some of these countries have such severe rivalries and hatreds that sometimes, like when we were talking about a couple games in the Euro, some referees from some countries should not be reffing against other countries. That's my point. I don't know if we'll ever get to that, because that means you'd be...
How do you even determine that?
I was just going to say that's like sifting sand to find a stone. Yeah. You could be here a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah, agreed. Anything else for Copa?
No, except for the fact that I thought it was pretty good along the way. I was just very disappointed in the fact that they didn't use that video review thing more often, because I think...
No, for Copa America, well, they used it. I'd argue they should have even had it there at all.
Why?
Not enough cameras to make it accurate enough.
Okay.
It's not like Euro where you have cameras, 360. We talked about this before.
Yeah.
Euro, it's 360 all the way around. Copa America, it's like, oh, we got some here, we got some there,
But I think that affected the quality.
Your cousin John's there in the corner holding a camera,
That's just brutal. My point is this: don't you think that had some effect on the quality of play? Because then I seen more flopping in the knockout round in Copa than I seen in any.
Yeah, but that's not video assistant referee isn't used for that.
You get a card in Euros if you flop, they can pull it on you for faking it.
They could do that in the Copa America as well.
But so the video camera's not?
No, video that's used for like offsides and goals.
Something weird went on that way because I just seen it appeared to me, I could be wrong, I seen more flopping going on in Copa than I did.
Well, that's just the way that's just the nature of the beast.
Caught me off guard, some of the things. I mean, I'm not saying all the Europeans are innocent here. Come on, stop it.
It was an okay tournament, I thought, overall.
I don't know. I'm just saying that I was just more enthralled with the quality of the games I seen in the Euros.
Yeah, we'll get to that a little bit later. Okay. But I don't know. People were talking about the Copa final being exciting. I didn't think it was anything special, to be honest.
I thought it was rather pedestrian at times. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I thought Argentina should have put them away earlier. I just think they were waiting to do their thing. They had a few charges, and they sat around. Well, we're going to get them. We're going to get them. They waited a long time to get them.
But they got them.
But they got them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So CONCACAF Gold Cup is next summer for Canada, so a little prelude to the World Cup. And the next Copa America will be in 2028. Both the locations of the Gold Cup and Copa America still to be determined.
Which leads me to believe that maybe that some of the staffing of the players on the field is a good move for the coach to get everyone a chance to feel the atmosphere and playing in a tournament of this magnitude. So
Absolutely.
You know?
And we'll move this along across the Atlantic to Euro 2024, where Spain defeated England 2-1 to win their record 4th UEFA European Championship. Williams got the scoring started in the 47th minute for Spain. England tied it up. It was Palmer getting it done in the 73rd. It looked like England might be on their way, but then in the 86th minute, Oyars Abal, I hope I pronounced that right, scored the winner, and Spain did not look back.
No.
I thought this was a great game.
Oh, I thought it was too. I thought a lot of the qualifyings, which we talked in the last show, were some of the better games I've ever seen in my life, watching soccer, which I'm no aficionado on by no speak, but I'm saying when you call it the beautiful game, I seen moments in the tournament and even in that final where you could call it the beautiful game. Like the skill level was unbelievable. And of course, the England performed once again like your beloved Toronto Maple Leafs. Just saying.
That's not true. Toronto doesn't make it even close. Rodri won the player of the tournament. Yamal, best young player of the tournament. No surprise there. Led the tournament assists with 4. The Golden Boot was split 6 different ways. Harry Kane from England. Oh my God.
I can't say his name
Mikau Dadze from Georgia. Musiala from Germany. Gakpo from the Netherlands. Schranz from Slovakia. And Olmo from Spain, 3 goals each. But 10 own goals in the tournament. So in the history of the UEFA European Championship, there has been 30 own goals. A third of them were scored in this tournament alone.
When you gave me that stat, my jaw hit the table. What? Because I was wondering about the own goal thing when I asked you, and then you came back with this stat. I went, that's insane. This is like a huge anomaly.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Because usually they'll get like, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4, but 10. And they just kept piling up. It was fast and furious from the start of the tournament. Insane.
Belgium had a little bit to do with that.
Yes, they did.
I just want to say one of the things that I heard, and which I thought was I'm not saying it was funny, I just thought it was very interesting, is that Pat McAfee knows nothing about soccer, except for the fact he played for was a kid, and that's why he became a punter, because of constantly kicking a ball. But he put forth the question to a soccer expert that said, I want to put, how do you say his name? Hamel or Jamel, like the kid on and then it goes, how much money would it cost for him to play in the MLS? That's what that guy did right away. Started laughing his asses out, and he started piling on money, talking about the transfer money and how they do in the leagues like that. And he said, listen, wait a second. If Messi got part of a deal from Apple, what are you going to give this kid?
Exactly.
I mean, it's never going to happen. Never.
Not when he's 16.
No.
Not when he's 25. Not when he's 30.
That's what I'm saying. But I thought it was an interesting take on a guy that really knows nothing about soccer, but was enthralled by the skilled players that he brought up. He obviously did a little research because he talked about Bellingham, what's the guy, Musala on Germany.
Yeah.
Like, so obviously he took enough look around to see who was doing what, Harry Kane, guys like that. But then he brought up, how do we get this guy the MLS? I fell off the couch laughing. I go, McAfee, you had an extra gummy before the show started? But it's an interesting prospect that'll never going to happen.
No.
just think, I'm going to keep my eye on this kid. And like we said, we're going to pay a little bit more attention to the big Premier Leagues in Europe as shows go on.
Yeah, so this year I do want to do more of a checkup on, like, the Premier League, the La Liga in Spain, Serie A in Italy, Ligue 1 in France, the Bundesliga in Germany, and even a Champions League.
Yeah, we'll take a good
keep
look
tabs
at
on them this season.
Only because that's going to keep me on top of things like the World's in 2 years. It'll just keep me better informed. I'll be able to have a more educated opinion, so to speak, et cetera, et cetera. But outside of that, though, it's interesting that going up is like in any playoffs. Remember the games that got to the finals. I thought the quality of some of the games, which you mentioned last week, was just outstanding. Like the skill level on some of these guys just blows me away.
Well, especially Spain, 6 players on the team of the tournament.
Thank you very much. And you know what I loved about Spain too? They always went forward. You know what I mean? They never stopped attacking. They kept them all moving, and that they played out 4-3-3, I think it is. So their back end is constantly moving the ball up to the kid, Nico Wilson, and the other guy that played on the other side up front. That was just a great way to watch. And I'm going to tell you this much: when people say, who are some of the most? We got I call them cherry pickers, but you call them poachers. Regardless if they're doing that at all, the fact that the level of athleticism and stamina these guys got to stay out there to go up and down a field that big is absolutely amazing.
And Spain plays a 4-2-3-1.
4-3, yeah.
4-2-3-1.
Yeah, because they have those 4 guys. Yeah, that's what I'm saying at the back. That I think is kind of cool. Because guess what? Those guys are constantly putting it into the lanes for those other guys to crisscross, and it keeps, to me, it seems to be like a better attack mode when they do it. It looks really cool. Congratulations to Spain on an absolutely stunning tournament and the creation of one of the greatest teams that we're going to be talking about in the history of soccer. So
absolutely. Gareth Southgate also stepped down for England as their manager after the conclusion of this one. Not that surprising considering they lost 2 Euro finals in a row. But, I mean, he got them there in the first place, which can't be said for a lot of English teams.
Someone's always going to have to fall on the sword. You know what I mean? I was cheering for England, but I would never bet on going into that game. I was not betting on them at all. No. I just want to thank you for lighting a fuse for me to open my eyes to examine a sport that I've never really given this much attention to. And the amount of respect I've garnished for the game in the last month is tenfold. I'll be honest, tenfold. And I don't mind that some of my buddies are making jokes at me. How did you even know about soccer? I said, if you want to know something about it, learn, watch, observe, ask questions. You know what I mean? Yep. And if you take it from that point of view, what do we always say at the house that happens? We like to talk about the highest level of competition. That is undoubtedly the highest level of competition.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? And the next Euro in 2028 will be in England, Northern Ireland, Republic of Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. The one after that in 2032 will be in Italy and Germany. And the countdown to 2026, the World Cup in Canada, Mexico, and the U.S. is officially on now. So get this. 2030, the World Cup is going to be split between Morocco, Portugal, and Spain, right?
What?
Morocco, Portugal, Spain, 2030. That's not the crazy part.
Okay.
Because those countries are close together.
Oh, yeah. The logistics traveling-wise is like easier than going across North America. I got it.
But the crazy part is the opening match is going to be held in Uruguay because of the 100th anniversary of the World Cup. So they're playing a one-off game there.
That's weird.
And they're having one-off games in Argentina and Paraguay as well. I don't get why, because, the first World Cup was in Uruguay. I get that. I think it's stupid, but I get that. But Argentina and Paraguay, why are they, how did they get in the mix there? I don't understand that.
Someone paid FIFA?
Someone got stupid,
okay.
I think. And speaking of stupid, the next World Cup after that's in Saudi Arabia, so we'll leave it at that.
Enough said. Money changes everything.
Absolutely.
And once again, I want people to understand that all these people that talk about the huge stars in the NBA and they're getting known worldwide, A lot of these guys you see it in Copa, and a lot of these guys that you see it in the Euros are just as big as any athlete you see dribbling a ball in the NBA.
Absolutely.
Agreed?
Absolutely.
Before we go on, I just wanted to ask you something that I forgot about because I thought it was kind of funny. And just before we continue on, we never got to get your opinion on George Larac teaching Rempe how to fight.
What's there to say? That's not even supposed to be a dig.
Leave it at that. I just thought I'd throw that out there.
It's an old school goon teaching a new school goon how to get done. Whatever.
Done.
And we will move this to my favorite segment, your favorite segment, everybody's favorite segment. It's the gospel according to Cruz.
Well, in recent weeks, there has. Let me get this straight now. Have I got the right one?
Uh-oh, I hope so.
Okay. Make sure I got the right page and know where I'm starting on. Sorry, that's just not the producer's fault. It's the gospel scoring it. So anyways, let me get on here. In recent months, there have been significant changes in the hierarchy of the Toronto sports scene. Understanding that MLSE is the big dog in the big smoke kennel, it was big news when Keith Pelly was hired as the pit bull in charge of operating the sports monolith in this city. His first move was to remove a longtime executive at MLSE, Mr. Bill Manning, from his position as president of operations for Toronto FC and the Toronto Argonauts. He did not replace the general managers of these respected teams, which led me to believe that the infrastructure issues dealt with at MLSE are issues that are far beyond my pay scale. However, it got me thinking about the landscape of the Toronto sports scene and how it has evolved since I moved to the GTA in 1981. At that time, it wasn't called the GTA, nor was there an organization called MLSE. As a 22-year-old at the time, moving from a border city that is more Americanized than I realized, I had a lot to learn about a very staid British-style city with a population dominated by a variety of ethnicities that really appealed to me coming from a city shadowed by the Motown. Man, have things changed. Back then, the Argonauts were drawing 40,000 plus. Toronto had a soccer team called the Blizzard. The Blue Jays were still in the throes of expansion, and basketball was nowhere to be found. At this time, I had discovered a sport called squash at the time and became quite an accomplished player at this. And I was beating guys on the Toronto Blizzard. Fact check. Checo Pasquale de Luca and Sven Hansen. They were pro athletes frustrated that they couldn't beat a guy on the squash court who worked at a toilet manufacturing company. But not let me regress. At this time, the landscape of Toronto's sports scene was rapidly changing. I believe it was a result of the expansion of cable TV and the advent of Proline. Not only did the Blue Jays become competitive, the Blizzard collapsed, and this thing called the NFL, which I was well versed in, exploded. Suddenly, the Argos were becoming a grease spot on the landscape, and the Toronto Rays were looking south, and the Toronto eyes were looking south to the United States of America. Now let's fast forward. The Jays won back-to-back World Series. An expansion basketball team came to Toronto, leading eventually to a championship for the Raptors. MLS was formed for the Toronto FC and motivated a very strong soccer crowd that had been neglected for years. With all that being said, I soon realized that in the ensuing years that Toronto may not be the great sports city that it claims to be, but rather a city of bandwagoners. The city basically bailed on the Argonauts as the NFL wave washed over the city. The city quickly forgot about the Jays winning 2 World Series when labor disputes disrupted the 1994 seasons, and people who supported the Jays left in droves. Even recently, when the Raptors won the Larry O'Brien in 2019, the revamping of the team has somewhat fallen on deaf ears. Even a nice, proud Toronto FC team, which still maintained a relatively solid fan base, has little to no play in the Toronto media scene. Now let's get back to the MLSE. The organization is bloated. Pelly is right to get rid of some of the fat and save money. You need a GM for the team with a strong executive to answer to the board. The city wants to continue to tell you they have the sports experience. Pelly was the right to dismiss Manning, who has made a mess of the Toronto FC and had little interest in the profile of the Toronto Argonauts, who still have some great fans who are not bandwagoners. I also understand that there is a really solid base of Blue Jay fans, but this is a Roger thing, not an MLSE thing. So, what's my point? Why am I picking at the sports landscape? Because the reality of the situation is that Toronto is really a one-horse town, and that one horse is owned by the Toronto Maple Leafs. Okay? The Leafs. And this city own this city. All the other franchises are like cute little puppy poodles, while the Leafs are the big bad Rottweiler. The guys do no wrong. Win, lose, or suck, the devotion to this team kicks my bandwagon theory to the curb. And what has this team won? Usham, 0-0. Do you understand what I'm saying here? The Leafs dominate the sports media 365 days a year, and nothing will change. That's why I drink bottled water, because I'm afraid to drink the water coming out of the tap, because it could be some kind of Kool-Aid that would turn me into some kind of Maple Leaf minion. Sorry, I can't really see my writing because it's dark in here. I'm sorry. That would, after my Jamaica tournament to a minion, okay. If they have a sellout, if they suck, if they TV ratings go up, nothing changes.
That's not true.
In other hockey cities, if a team falters, the fans, the organization known, but by not showing up. The Leafs could steal your weed, kick your dog, and Leaf fans would find a positive in this. The fans run good players and good coaches out of town. They pack Scotiabank Arena, but are considered one of the most docile crowds in the history of sports. I'm a Habs disciple, so the Leafs don't move the needle at my house. However, for the sake of the city, can you please eliminate that daunting albatross called since 1967? So, in conclusion of this, if Rogers and MLSE could somehow market and field competitive teams on a consistent basis, they can maintain solid fan bases and achieve spikes in attention from bringing back the bandwagoners. Still, the Leafs are the bridle path of all the other teams who are just Regent Park. This city is not a sports city that they think they are. They are Toronto Maple Leaf City, and the landscape will always be Keon, Sittler, Gilmore, and Matthews. That's okay. I'm backing the Jays and the Raptors, and the rest of my time, I'll just keep flattening the wheels on that delusional bandwagon of the Toronto Maple Leafs. However, I'll still walk Mitch Marner's dog, and if you want me to, for the sake of the city, can you just win, guys? Because of my belief, Montreal will have a parade long before the Toronto Maple Leafs.
You know, 93 is closer to 67 than it is to now, right?
That's not the point. That's not the point. The point is, I'm going to have my theory come to fruition in September.
What theory?
There'll be no one going to see the Jays. There'll be no one going to see
Well,
Toronto
you want
FC.
that, though.
What's that?
You were calling for that. You're like, if the Blue Jays should vote with their wallets and not go.
Point well taken.
And even that's why I take exception about what you're saying about the fans not showing up after the strike. Because you're saying, oh, now it's good if you don't show up. But like back then, oh, you're bad. You're just a bandwagoner. And with the Argos, too, don't forget there was a failed expansion to the U.S. that muddied the league and made them look like shit.
I'll give you that. But what I'm talking about is, you know when I became a Jays fan? When I heard when they had the disruption in the city, and you ask your parents, the city bailed on the team like it was the worst thing that ever happened. And me, who had been a Detroit Tiger guy that finally seen the Tigers win in 84, I was ecstatic. You guys won back-to-back World Series. I was going, man, you had Olimar, you had Joe Carter, the whole gang.
Oh, I know.
And then all of a sudden you had a disruption and everyone just shit on the Jays. It blew my mind. I kept saying to these people, do you know how valuable that World Series is? Now, I will give you this. people like your mom and dad and the fans that really back the Jays, they realize that, and everybody can back, and I don't think that'll ever happen again. So I'll give the Jays a little bit more credit. Like, you're right, that we're not going to show up because we don't want the baseball experience. That'll never happen with the Toronto Maple
Well,
Leafs.
that's because of corporate money too. Let's not forget.
No, this city's owned by the Leafs. Like, I wanted to end this, but I didn't want to say it too bad because I don't want to disrespect the Raptors. Did you see the parade that the Raptors had?
Oh, I know. I was there.
You got it, okay? What kind of parade is going to be in this city if the Toronto Maple Leafs win?
Oh, I know. It's going to make that look like child's play.
You got it right there. So listen, I love people like you and I. We're diehards. We love the sports and all. But sometimes I just think that in the landscape of this city, we're going to go home right now and I'm going to turn on any sports show that's derived in Toronto, and I bet you the word will come up about the Toronto Maple Leafs wherever we go. So my take is this: let's respect all the teams in the city, people. Show that we, because this is a strong hockey city. I mean, a strong sports city. But I don't think it's like the average fan that talks to me. I go, no. You guys are Leaf guys. Okay.
You know what though? I think that's kind of becoming like everywhere though. Where there's like every city has like their one like big sport that kind of like takes the crown jewel, and then everything else is like maybe a few exceptions like Boston maybe, and like but if you go to New York, like
New York's New York, but I'm gonna give you the perfect.
Yeah, but like I was there a couple summers ago, and it wasn't like people were like going nuts talking about the Yankees or like talking about sports or anything like that.
Okay, well, I'm gonna give you the greatest example that I knew because I grew up across the border from them. Okay, there is a hardcore following for the Tigers, the Pistons, the Lions, and who am I missing?
Red Wings?
The Red Wings, okay.
Well, but when the Red Wings were bad a few years ago, guess what? They weren't showing up.
No, but they still got their 15,000 a night. But I'm just going to say this.
I was there for a couple games where
I was too, and I was at Thanksgiving one year, and I went, wow, where's all the people? I got you. But here's the shining example of this, what a real sports town does. My beloved Detroit Lions. How many years have we waited, and every year
that's the NFL, though. That's the exception.
You think that's the exception?
Yeah, NFL.
Okay, the Red Wings dip when they're down, but look at this year. They started winning again. Things came right back up because the fans let them know. The Pistons are in big trouble.
Yes, they are.
Well, they go that, but they're still getting 13, 14 a night.
Weren't the Tigers, there's some lean nights there?
They disappointed me this year because if you can go back to our predictions for the year, I thought the Tigers might be the ones that win the division.
No, but even like going back like a few years, like this whole like rebuilding phase, like they haven't been exactly drawing strong.
No, but they've been in the middle of pack of standings wise, which you got to give them credit for because the team was shit.
I'm not talking about performance. I'm talking about the fans. This is what
they were still middle of the pack, Detroit Tigers. In the middle of the pack, even at their worst of times, and we'll check it out to go there. What I'm saying,
that's not exactly a great review or whatever, a great thing with, especially with Major League Baseball. We've been talking about like the popularity in general going down. Well, what middle of the pack still not very good.
Okay, but what they have is the same thing as the Blue Jays. Got a very strong media market, so their ratings on TV have sustained them, and that's why baseball is becoming a bit of a niche sport because people don't understand how much the local market and the TV supports the team in a weird way.
So is Toronto really fair weather if their TV ratings are always good for the Blue Jays then?
I'm saying they're the only team that have had a chance to kick at my bandwagon theory because the hardcore Blue Jay fans have risen from the dust. What?
And the Leafs.
Oh, the Leafs. You can't even talk about them. If we were discussing
TFC.
This, but they're pretty solid now, but they're kicking that organization.
They've always been solid.
But what I want to talk to you next year if this continues with Toronto FC.
They're still going to be as strong. Their fans are nuts.
I hope they are. And I hope more Argo fans come back because they're going to be winning. You know what I'm saying? I live in this city. I think it's more exciting when the teams are winning.
Of course.
I want it that way. I don't want to be talking about, like, when you hear about, like, some of the talk I've heard about in Toronto FC, I forget what show was on with Sportsnet with Sid and I'm having a brain fart. Tim and Sid.
Oh, years ago then.
Yeah, but no, he's still on a sports show at night. Tim's still on the air, right?
Oh, yeah, he's on Sportsnet. He does like their version of SportsCenter.
Okay, yeah. So anyway, he's on there. They brought up the Toronto FC. He went, next. I went, isn't that an indictment? That should never happen in your city because what really bothers me is that...
Well, they're also a national sports show.
Agreed. So that's what I'm saying. Like, how much time do we spend on the Toronto FC? We can't even get the media on them in here. And I think that what really blows me away is the Toronto Blizzard did not get the time of day. And that whole
well,
league
a lot
failed.
of that too is like, where is their sports league in the whole sports landscape? So MLS, it's still kind of a tier 2 league. That's changing.
Yes.
But for now, there's still a tier 2 league.
Always. No, but what I appreciated about
Back
it.
then, when NASL was it back then? That was probably like a tier 3 league. Let's be real.
I went to games and they were like, you know, those two guys I played squash against? That's why I knew what it was like, because they'd come down on the squash court and I'd beat them and then hand me 6 tickets. And me, like, seriously, they just gave me like, okay, it started like this. If you beat me today, I'll give you free tickets to the Blizzard game tonight. And I'm not blowing smoke up my own ass, but if you see me play squash in my day, I was a very, very good player. And I'd take these guys, I'd take them for beers, I'd take them for $10. I never lost to these guys, which drove them, you're a factory worker, man. That's what they say to me. You work in a factory? And these guys are playing soccer for a professional soccer team. But they kept getting out there because I gave them credit for how much they were still trying to pump the Blizzard. Okay? And they didn't get it. But the advent of cable is what's really changed everything.
Oh, of course.
And ProLine, that's what is here. And like I said, it draw out, like I knew, like, because when you talked about Premier League and World Cup and Euros, the city was here, like, since the day I got here. Like, I remember the first time I told you, 1982, and everyone's losing their mind for World Cup. I'm going, what's World Cup? But meanwhile, I was sneaking out the door to see Final Four, and everyone's going, what are you sneaking out for? Like, that was the thing that I grew up with. Like, you guys don't know who the Final Four is? You don't know where the World Cup is.
And by the way, so one thing I wanted to ask you. So you mentioned 81, there was no MLSE. Kind of, sort of true. What was MLSE known as back then?
Harold Ballard's.
No.
Where?
The actual company name.
Oh, that's a trivia question. They weren't called Maple Leaf Entertainment Group, were they? No.
No, it wasn't MLSE.
But it was like an umbrella thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, that organization existed still, but under a different name.
I can't remember. You tell me, I'm going to scream.
Maple Leaf Gardens Limited.
Oh, yeah, Maple Leaf Gardens. I mean, that's what it was, yeah. And then, of course, everything changed. MLSE.
I think MLSE, that name probably came about once they bought the Raptors.
Yeah, because then they became an amalgamation of thing, and they took everything over. But Rogers refused to get in totally because they said, no, Blue Jays are ours, which made still.
Well, yeah, why would they give that up?
Nah, you'd never give that up, because you know what? The one thing that I really respect about this city is, you're younger, ask your parents about it. The Leafs, the Jays were here with the World Series. They plunged, and then they slowly found their way back. And I think they'll be consistent for the rest of my life, which is good.
Barring another strike.
Okay, but but that's what I say about fans.
It would probably be a lockout the next time, let's be real. But
they turn off so quickly. Like, look at even now, when you talk about the sports media, how they talk about the Raptors. 5 years ago, they won you guys a ring. Now they're kicking them to the curb. Oh, they'll be...
That was 5 years ago, though.
Still.
But that's half a decade.
Okay, so I'm saying this much. I've already...
It fell apart so quickly, too. I think that's what caught people off guard, especially the decade leading up to that.
And they were so good, but you know what it was? It was the gamble on the Kawhi that changed everything. They got the ring, but the organization was never able to work their way around Kawhi once he left town.
Yeah, it was like Siakam was looking like the guy, and then that fell apart, and
then
Lowry
Anunoby,
left town.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, so they were in between thing, but I'm still saying now that I'm paying close attention to enough, and I'm going to keep beating this bandwagon until the Raptors are 20 games under 500. I think they're going to surprise us this year. I really do.
I wish I had your enthusiasm, and I think that's the perfect way to end off, Cruz. Any plans for the weekend?
I don't know yet. Serge is trying to get me to Hamilton to see a game, but I got some family affairs.
Yeah, I got out of that one.
But I have one final shout out I wanted to say, which is very significant in the Cruz family. I couldn't make it to Vancouver, Jessica, who's getting married this weekend.
Congratulations, Jessica.
She's my sister's oldest child, and I'm going to kill myself. Chica, call me up. Forget his name. Anyway, they've got 2 beautiful children, beautiful family, and they're having a wedding this weekend. And what makes it cool about the wedding is they could have done anything they wanted, and they just made it a tight-knit family affair. Sorry, I can't make it. Yeah, they just said, no. We could invite everybody. And they saw all the history of weddings, and they said, no, that's not what it's all about. It's this tight-knit group of family.
The 2 families coming together. That's what it's all about.
That's basically what they have done, and that's a beautiful thing. Congratulations to them. Big shout-out to the kids, Lola and Finley. What cool names. I hope you guys have a great wedding, and a great life together.
Absolutely. Wishing them happy times in the future.
Exactly. Is there anything else you want to add?
That is just about it, and I'm looking forward to finally going home after this. It's been a long day. So.
And the lights are going down, and we have no power, and what we're going to do, we should have flicked the light over there so I could see. I'm sorry about the gospel. As Andrew will tell you, I could barely see what I was reading, so I couldn't get it off the ground, but that's okay. I'm going to go home now and watch golf and see what Dana White has to see, because that's a kind of a sports lead-in to what's happening in America.
Sure.
With Hulk Hogan as the first keynote speaker.
Oh, my God. What is this world coming to?
God bless America, but I'm going to bless Canada even more. You know what I mean? Thanks for a great show again, buddy. It's always good to see you. Let's have a great weekend and have a great week.
I'm Andrew Milani.
My name is Cruz.
And what do?
Keep the vibe alive.
You can find The House That Happens on Podbean, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeart Radio, Player FM, Samsung, Podchaser, Boomplay, YouTube, and SoundCloud. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at The House That Happens, and follow us on Twitter at House Happens. You can also shoot us an email at thehousethathappens@gmail.com.